This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 557 for June 25th, 2018. I don't want to be here. I want to be in space.
Helga awaits.
Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpier.
Hello, Governor.
We have a brand new episode of Old Dog New Flicks. Actually, two new episodes. First off, if you're a non-patron, TVGP.tv or your favorite podcatcher, you should have the first episode of ODNF for Ladyhawk in your feed right now. Go listen to it. It's great. If you are a patron at the $5 level or higher, you can get the latest episode, which is Waterworld, episode 4.
Yup.
Which is I had a lot of... So usually, for anyone listening, Moon sends me all the stuff that's finished, and then I post it to all the places and, and get it all queued up.
Yeah, Boston has basically zero effect on the show, zero input, zero editing, zero anything.
It's very freeing.
First and last thing that Boston does is he gets the finished file from me, and he posts it.
It's a very strange new world, and I like it. But usually I spot check it a little bit and make sure it sounds okay, and content of course is fine. But I basically spent 45 minutes just listening to it while I was doing other stuff because I was just having so much fun listening to it. So I will personally vouch for these episodes, and I hope if you're a patron, patreon.com/E1M1, I hope you're having a good time listening to it. Yep. It'll be another month before we have episode 5, and then episode 2 will be out on the free feed, and in about a week or so, the next episode of Dynamic Soundtrack will be out, early access and free. So much stuff coming your way. Patreon.com/E1M1. All right, commercials over. I feel like we have so much to talk about this week, so let's just dive into what you've been playing.
Yeah, let's get on with the show, shall we? Okay, let's talk about a nightmare that keeps on just being a nightmare.
Great.
Crypt the Necrodancer. Because I decided I'm in the mood for a rhythm game. I've kind of been playing a lot of roguelikes recently, so let's give Crypt the Necrodancer another shot and see how that works. I'm still on stage 3. Stage 3 is still awesome. That game is so ridiculously hard still.
I got to, World 2, Stage 2, whatever you want to call it. I beat the first boss poorly, and then I get to the second set of levels, and almost every time would die on the first stage.
That's me with World 3 right now. But the best thing about World 3 is it does the whole thing, which I think I mentioned it when I talked about it way back when, is the floor is 2 different colors, and it's half ice, half lava. And then as you transition from the ice section to the lava section, it changes the music. It doesn't change the rhythm, it just changes the actual music. So
right, so the beat is still the same?
The beat is the exact same, but it goes to dance, trance kind of music to heavy metal music when you head over to the lava section.
Oh, wow.
It's this really cool transition, but the enemies there hit like a tank, and it's so much harder because you play the first world or whatever, and you get used to the patterns. Yeah. And I'm jumping back into the third world, and I've forgotten every single pattern that I need to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where it's I don't even know what to do anymore, but I'm still going to keep playing it because I'm just loving it as it's a weird terminology, but it's a very good palate cleanser game where it's I'll take a couple of runs, see what I can do, and just plow through it a little bit, and then all done and dusted. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to go to bed.
I sort of feel similarly with Crypt the Necrodancer, where I'm so bad at it that even if I don't only get to 1, 2, and I die, I'm sort of like, okay, there was no chance of me getting all the way to the end and being the final boss, so I can't even be mad. Not like Isaac, where I get to like the 3rd floor and I die, and I'm like, I'm better than that. I can do better than that.
Yep.
I mean, it's the 2nd floor, and I'm like, all right, I did it. I beat the game.
Well, have you ever played a Dark Souls game, Mr. Boston? Because you would probably find a similar satisfaction from that. Oh, the 3rd guy killed me.
Yeah, I enjoyed Demon's Souls a lot, and that was... I feel like I had my one experience with Demon's Souls, and saw that the rest of the games were very similar, but they were making obvious improvements, and sort of said, I feel like I went through the war once, and maybe I'm okay.
Okay, so you're demon shocked, so you can't go back out to battle anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But then I keep looking at Bloodborne, I'm like, maybe that one's different enough.
Oh, come on. Get Remastered. It's cheap, it's handy, it's great, it's fun, it runs smoothly, you don't have to deal with Blighttown. Well, you have to deal with Blighttown, just not in the same way the rest of us did.
Bad Blighttown.
Exactly.
I probably have a copy of that game for the 360, I bet, somewhere in this house.
More than likely. I think I've got 3 copies of it now, so I've got one digital, one physical, and I've got Remastered now as well, so of course.
Thank goodness you don't have a Switch.
Yeah. Played a little bit of PUBG.
Oh.
Jumped in, myself, my wife, Kat, and Charlie, so the little group of friends kind of thing. We all just jumped in, had a couple of 4-man squads. That game is improving so much, it probably also helps that I don't play it every week. So when I jump back in, it's like, okay, everything's changed, everything's different, but everything is better because of it. Right. No chicken dinners, unfortunately, but it was just fun to be back in that kind of environment. Like, I mean, I get it. I get why people play this and only this. I genuinely do. I get it why people play Battle Royale and Fortnite and only Battle Royale and Fortnite. Right. I get it. It's a really good, fun cycle. I would bear myself out, though, is the problem. So, jumping back in every couple of months works out pretty nicely for me. Yeah, because
you probably haven't played it much since we talked about it on the show, maybe during launch?
Yeah, I played it during launch really, really heavily. Then I took a bit of a break from it, then jumped back in after like probably about 4 or 5 updates. Then jump back in now after probably about another 4 or 5 updates. Right. So every time I go back in, it's like the quality of life is changing and increasing, and you know it's fun to see it change. It's really weird when you jump in and all of a sudden everyone is a marksman with a 9mm pistol. It's like, oh, I haven't played this game in a long time, have I?
You're like over there with a shotgun and it's like, are these still good? Are these? Nope, okay.
Yeah, shotgun in the bathtub doesn't work for me. It never has. Right. I don't know. I did a tiny little bit of Burnout Remastered. Like, I'm not a whole lot to talk about on this. I'm at the grind point where I have my Burnout license. Now I just need to get... Sorry, I have my Elite license. Now I just need to get my Burnout license, which I believe involves doing every single race on the map. Ah. And that's a lot of races. Yeah. So I'm slowly but surely working my way through that. And once I get my Burnout license, which is the final license, then all of the things reset themselves again, and then you can go do them all over again. Oh, wow. For like the 5th time. So that game has a lot of content, like a whole bunch of content.
Yeah, it's like when you finish a Forza Horizon game and you're like, all right, I raced against a steamboat. That was a lot of fun. And the game's like, cool, here, I'm just going to puke icons. And all of these are races, but actually each one is a tournament and each one has 4 races in it. It's like, oh, okay. Yep. Holy crap.
Yep. And then by the time you've actually finished it, 2 more Horizon games have come out in the meantime.
And like 3 expansions.
Yes. I have the Hot Wheels DLC and I still haven't played it yet. Why?
It's pretty good.
I know.
But then, like, you want to finish the Frost Peak Mountain or whatever it is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about.
The Snowy Mountain DLC.
Oh, yes. Blizzard Peak or whatever it's called.
Blizzard Peak.
I
got so close.
I think that's right, but I'm not sure. Yeah. So, the final 3 games on my list. The big 3 games, shall we say. Start with Unravel 2.
Oh.
The new hotness. Kind of.
So it's brand new. It came out last week.
Yes, true. So my wife picked this up for me, which is kind of really nice of her.
Mm-hmm.
Plus she has the access, so it's cheaper for her, but we don't talk about that. So Unravel 2 is essentially, it's more Unravel.
Nice.
Except it is 100% co-op. And it feels like it moves very, very quickly compared to the first one. Like, for those, spoiler alert for those who aren't in the loop, or aren't in the yarn, we are currently playing Unravel 1 is our game club game.
Mm-hmm.
And playing that, it's slow, deliberate. There are some fast-paced moments, but it's mostly when you're swinging, there's a lot of momentum in it.
Mm.
Like, Unravel 2 has wall jumps now. It has really high airtime, like, when you jump. And
you're like triangle jumping with you and your buddy.
Yes, and it feels like it moves at a lot quicker of a pace. Like, the jumps are a lot less floaty, a lot less deliberate.
Right.
Like, it just feels like it moves a lot better.
That was part of what they said on stage at E3, right? Like, they wanted it to be a little bit more actiony.
Yes, and it definitely feels that way. Like, Unravel 1 feels like it's a story told while you experience little bits and pieces of these memories, which that game is incredible to me. That's what, like, one of my favorite methods of storytelling is in that game, and the way they tell that story I love. But for 2, we've hit a little bit of the same storytelling, but so far we're only 2 levels in because I'm playing it with my wife, and I'm not going to fly through it by myself.
Right.
While she's not playing it, so we're going to try and do the whole thing in co-op, see how it goes.
For anyone listening, you can play it solo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You can. When you play it solo, you have the option to basically merge the 2 yarn people together, and then when it's a tough platforming section, you can do that. When it's puzzle section, you can split them up and then control each independently.
Yeah.
So it works out pretty nicely. It also works out nicely when one of us can't do the jump or something. You can just merge and then use the other person to get across.
Oh, nice.
So that works out pretty good. But the game, I mean, it's beautiful, and you can choose your own colours now of the Yarny as well.
Yeah.
So we have a green and purple one, none of these red and blue things that they showed.
And green and purple are also complementary.
I know. I like green, she likes purple.
Perfect.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
So we're playing that a little bit. Like I said, we're only up to World 2 as of right now, so it's not too difficult. But already they're introducing, like, the co-op aspects of it, where one person's going to lower another person down a pit and then swing and then tie this thing and then go to the other side and tie this other thing. So it's going to be really interesting to see if this is a hashtag divorce game or if this is a hashtag co-op game. You know?
Right. Is it like Portal 2 co-op where it's just like, I don't even want to look at you anymore. You are so bad at these tests. Just go away.
Yep. Is it going to be one of those or one of the good kind? We'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to playing some more of that. Oh boy.
I love just the pregnant pause where you looked at your list like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, because guess what I'm about to talk about?
Is this Elite Dangerous?
Yes, it is Elite Dangerous. And so, Nimp, being the young upstart that he is, community member, the Nimp, he has somehow, in 9 months of playing this game, he bought himself one of the big 3 ships.
Oh.
Which,
whoa.
For the record, the big 3 ships are upwards of 100 million to buy.
Right.
I've been playing this game for about 3 years, it feels like now. I've never bought one of them because I've never sunk myself into the world the way Nimp has.
Right.
And credit where it's due, he wanted it more, he played it more, he managed to somehow do it. Like,
it has the dedication.
Yes. And he bought himself an Anaconda, which has been my dream of buying an Anaconda since day one of starting this game.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, I could go and sell every single other one of my ships and buy an Anaconda, but I don't want to do that because I like my other ships too.
Yeah.
But we were talking, and he threw out a suggestion in the LFG group on Discord. Go check out Discord, folks. Best community on the internet. He threw out a suggestion in there, like there's a bounty community goal going on right now. For those who don't know, the community goals are everyone on the game, PC, I'm assuming PS4 now, and Xbox all get the same goal, essentially. It's like, go to this system, do this objective. The more you contribute, the higher you are in the rankings, and the higher your payout for a reward is.
Okay.
But on top of that, you also do get the payout for whatever the task is. So if it's a trading one and you're asked to deliver something there, you get the payout for delivering it there and selling it there. And you get the actual reward from the final tally of what you've donated.
It's sort of like some of the stuff we see in some mobile stuff we play.
Yes.
Where it's like you and your guild but this one is the whole community of people.
Yes, exactly. So he came up with the suggestion of, well, there's a combat one going on right now if you want to go and do some bounty hunting. It's like, yeah, sure, we'll jump on, we'll play a little bit, see how things go. So Friday night, myself, my wife, and Kat all jumped in. First time experimenting with multi-crews in the game. I don't have a ship that can have more than one crew member, so Kat jumped in with my wife, and essentially she becomes a gunner in my wife's ship who can control specific turrets that my wife has chosen for her to choose.
That's cool.
So apparently, I haven't experienced this firsthand, the camera changes to an outside of the ship 360 degree perspective.
What?
Which allows her to shoot people on such a range that you can't shoot if you were by yourself.
Okay.
And then, because we were bounty hunting, the gunner gets a payout of bounty credits on anybody who we killed.
Okay.
The downside to this is you cannot wing up with someone who has multi-crew on.
Oh, weird.
So, let's say, in that case, I was in my little piddly ship by myself.
Not envious at all.
Not envious at all. Because the thing that the team has done, and it's really well done, is there used to be this huge gulf. It used to be Sidewinder is the starting ship. It's the smallest ship in the game. It's a really good multi-purpose ship, but it's cheap, it's disposable, it's fine.
It's like a fridge with wings on it.
Basically, yes. Yeah. It's like a paper airplane that you folded together and just throw it into space.
I'm in space.
So you start with that, and then there's like the Cobra, which is essentially a bigger version of the Sidewinder, a bit more customization. And it was like small ship, or tiny ship to small ship to small ship to small ship to like maybe 4 or 5 middle ships, which is the Viper Mark IV is my current ship. That's kind of a middle ship. Combat ship, big but not huge. And then after that, there was this huge great gulf, and then it was very large ships on the far end, which was like the Type 7 transporter. Which is a huge ship, and then it's the Python, which was a bigger ship as well. And then you get to the Anaconda, which is the huge ship. Like there's this huge gap in the middle with no ships really filling in that void.
Like medium huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with all of the updates that they keep doing, and thank you team, by the way, for consistently updating this game and being crystal clear and doing dev streams like every month with all of the new updates and stuff like that.
Yep. Like
Frontier are probably one of my favorite indie developers / publishers, because they are crystal clear with everything in regards to this game, what's going on, what's going to get improved, what's getting changed, all of that kind of stuff. Like they're out front every single time, and it's like, we understand this is overpowered, it's going to get tweaked back this much.
Nice. Between them and the Warframe devs, I feel like those are the two ones that, like, just do what they're doing. Like, they're doing it correctly. Just everybody else do that.
Well, that's the big thing that got No Man's Sky in big trouble, was they came out, they made a big splash, and they promised everything. The Elite Dangerous guys, now, you have multiple monitors, so you can Google this for me really quick. Sure. I'm pretty sure Elite Dangerous, the console version and the PC version we have now, was a Kickstarted game. Like, I'm pretty sure they went on crowdfunding, like, look, we kind of want to make a game like the old Elite Dangerous. We kind of want to get the license for it, and we kind of want to put this thing out. I'm guessing from the WoW it was.
It raised £1.578 million, and November 5th, 2012.
Yep. Everybody talks about, FTL is a good success story from Kickstarter. So is whatever the game that Tim Schafer made. It was a huge success story
Broken
on
Age.
Kickstarter. Yes. Those are good games.
Yep.
Those games had a development cycle that stopped. Elite Dangerous is still in development.
Yep. Like in the positive way, like they're still supporting it, not like what's the other oh god, what's that other space game that is never going to get finished?
Oh, you're talking about Star Citizen.
Yeah, Star Citizen. Like, to me, that's in development, and Elite Dangerous, like, they did the right thing, and they just said, like, all right, well, here's the game, and we're just gonna build from there.
Yep. And my favorite thing about Elite Dangerous is look at how it started. It was and still is, as far as I know, a tiny, tiny, tiny little crew. It's a small development team who basically made a very base game. They hit their Kickstarter goals. They made a very base game, and every 6 months or so, they release a big content update with new features, new everything, and they're getting by on word of mouth. Mm-hmm. They're getting by on, oh, did you hear about this guy who spent 40 hours flying to this other side of the galaxy in this game? What game are you talking about? Oh, it's Elite Dangerous.
Right.
Like, you hear these stories that make their way around, and it gets more and more people interested in the game. They're not out there saying this is the best thing ever. Their tutorials are not the best thing ever. There's so much about the game that has issues, but at the end of the day, if it's your type of game, you know it is, and sometimes you can't help but get sucked into this whirlwind of I am a space trucker and it is amazing.
Right.
But, I mean, random tangents aside, we did the experimentation with the multi-crew system, and I think it will be interesting. It will be especially interesting if you can get like an Anaconda, which has 3 seats, so you end up with 4 people on the one crew.
Ah.
All doing like one, like, you know, multiple jobs. Like, you can, part of the new updates is you can have fighter bays now, so people can take control of fighter ships that leave your ship and go and
so cool.
shoot other things. So it's like a mothership and little fighters that come out of it. So there's so much additional content to this game that is incredible, and I'm looking forward now, because unfortunately it looks like the Elite Dangerous bug has struck again.
Yeah.
Because I'm all of a sudden, I don't want to be here. I want to be in space. I want to be making progress on this community goal right now.
Yeah.
Because I want to go and do it. Because I'm kind of jealous of my wife's big, what was the terminology used? Middle large ship, shall we say? Yeah. Because with the content updates that they've been developing, they released ships to fill in that void that was between the original ships and the end ships. So she went with this ship, and it's so cool. It looks a bit like a 4-legged Serenity ship. Like, instead of just having the 2 pods, it's got 4. It looks like a beast. It's got a whole bunch of hard points for weapons, and I'm going to try and avoid using as much terminology as I can, because it's actually talking about Elite Dangerous while Charlie was in a party, and it's like, literally, we could be speaking a foreign language to him, because when you're talking about hard points and mass drives and whether or not your power capacitor is good enough to divert power to the different systems in time, it's like speaking a different language.
Right.
But playing it, I'm in my stupid little piddly ship, and then she's in her medium ship, and Nymph's got himself a combat ship, which is not the Conda. It's the similar kind of larger vehicle for combat. It's like I've just hit 100 million. Without too much more effort, I can probably get myself a Conda really, really quick. The problem is it's probably going to be about 290 million to get the Conda and have it spec'd out the way I want it to be spec'd out.
Oh, yikes.
Because it's one thing buying a ship, it's a completely different thing having it with all the best bits and parts that you need.
Right. It's like buying a house. Like, you might be able to afford the house, but, you know, can you afford the couch?
I could buy this house for $20.
Right.
Whether or not, you know, I could afford the window rebuilds and the house rebuilds and everything else is a whole different thing.
I just looked up the Elite Dangerous team, Frontier Developments Limited. I didn't realize they just came out with a new game 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Jurassic World Evolution.
Is that the phone game, or is that the
theme park game?
Good for them.
Yeah, because I looked at an article from a couple of years ago, and they're like, yeah, I mean, we're an okay team size. We only have about 300 employees. And I'm like, for what? And the answer is all the other games they're making, like Planet Coaster and Jurassic World Evolution and Frontier Elite 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds like a sequel to Elite Dangerous. I ever had one.
Yeah, maybe.
And if they do that, they better have progress that carries over.
I feel like that's one of the few studios that either would carry progress over, or they would have like really great messaging around why they would make a cut and then allowing you to do something.
Yeah.
They wouldn't bungee it. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, by the way, 270 achievements in Elite Dangerous on the Xbox One now.
Wow.
270.
That's so many. I was going to say that's too many, but I don't think it is.
No, not when Rare Replay has 8,000 gamer score and Master Chief Collection's like ridiculous too.
Well, and I actually accidentally still have Steam open, so I could open that. It disappeared. Cool. Binding of Isaac on PC has, I think, 400 something achievements now.
Yep.
So that's. I guess I can't really say anything.
Steam plays it fast and loose, though. Come on.
100%.
If you're going to get new achievements on the Xbox version, you need updates. So
yeah.
That should tell you that game started with 50 achievements.
Which is still a lot.
That should give you an idea of how many updates there's been to that game.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a lot. But, yeah, I feel really bad because I'm 100% in the Elite rabbit hole again. It's like, I just want to go do some bounty hunting because the place for this week is outside of the bubble. So, the bubble being the civilization.
Right.
They're trying to build a new stations or whatever in this area, trying to expand the bubble out. And that means that basically there is no police in that system. And the pilots and the enemies that are showing up there are really high ranked, which means you're getting really big bounty rewards for it. It's not shooting somebody and getting 20k. It's shooting somebody and getting 300,000 credits. It's like,
jeez.
I will take that. And in a wing of 4, my wife played Elite Dangerous yesterday for 12 straight hours.
Jesus.
I played Elite Dangerous yesterday for like 8 straight hours.
Right.
This is if you ever think back to being a kid and have those moments where, I remember playing this game. This is the game that like I forgot to eat meals when I
spent a whole summer on.
Mm-hmm. It's like I was supposed to do my homework and I forgot because this thing sucked me in so much that I didn't realize it was 2 a.m. until I looked at the clock.
Yeah.
That is Elite Dangerous for us. It's got to that point where it's like, oh no, like we missed 3 meals today. We had stuff to do today and we totally forgot to do that stuff.
The cats are in the background like, please feed me, please God.
They never let me forget because if I forget,
That's
they're
true.
all up in my face and biting my microphone. So, but yeah, Elite Dangerous is kind of amazing and I can't wait to go back and play it. And if anybody else is interested in playing it from the community, I know we have Nimp, I know we have T-Bomb, I know Rob has it as well. He already has a Conda because he is incredible, just like Nimp. So yeah.
Hit up the LFG channel and Discord.
Yep, let's get ourselves 2 full wings flying out and about and having some fun.
Yep.
But yes, let's talk about the newest of new hotness.
Okay.
And a perfect transition from me to you. So here's the ball, which is actually a jar of eels. And I'm going to pass that over to you as we talk about Prey Mooncrash.
Yes. I want to preface this saying we're probably going to spoil something. There's not necessarily a ton of story here, but we'll probably spoil some mechanic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of how Mooncrash works.
Yes.
We talked before the show about how the main menu captures how long you've been playing, and I think we're both at around the 10.5 hour mark.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you have all 5 characters unlocked?
I have not unlocked the Custodian yet.
Okay.
I have not. I'm literally this morning I was trying to get her unlocked because you have to do the security guy's mission.
Okay, I still haven't done that one yet.
Yes, so I'm in the process of doing that. I have it all set up. The problem is to activate his, you have to hit a button and then make a mad dash to get to where you need to go. in order to make it in time.
Oh, does he have to escape via mass driver?
Yes, he does.
That sucks. Okay.
And the button is way up there, and
Right.
the actual container is way down here.
Oh.
And it becomes like this, get down this structure as fast as you can. I haven't pressed the button yet, but I did make a stupid mistake of doing the jetpack boost straight into a wall and breaking my leg, so I cannot sprint right now until I find the correct medical equipment.
So that's... Mistakes like that are why I always start myself with one of each of the recovery items. Because knowing me, I have some like orange mod for myself that lets me do like a ground pound with the jetpack, and
Yes.
if you do it maybe a little too much, maybe you kind of break your entire body.
That's the first broken bone I've had. And
Yeah,
it's
it
really
sucks.
annoying because
Yeah.
you can't sprint and you're wobbling as you're walking, and
Yeah.
every like 2 seconds the guy goes, "Ugh."
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not very fun. So I guess let's rewind. So we talked about this a little bit during the E3 episode, but it was very long, so some of you might have missed it. Basically, Prey Mooncrash is, to start off with, there's two ways to buy it. If you don't own Prey, go buy and play Prey. There's a like deluxe edition or whatever it is now.
Yeah, it's like a gold or edition or
Yeah,
whatever.
and it's basically Prey plus Mooncrash, I think, for $10 off. If you already own Prey, Mooncrash is just $20.
Yep.
And basically, they took Prey and they made it into a roguelike.
Yep.
And it's really great.
It's a really weird roguelike, though, because it's not... You say roguelike, and we play Isaac a lot, so we're used to dealing with it, but stuff like Isaac, Wizards of Legends, Crypt and Necrodancer, stuff like this, you do a run, you succeed or you die, you go back to square one. This is slightly twisted it a little bit.
Yep.
Because you start off, you have one character, I believe.
Yeah, the psionic guy.
Yes, the volunteer.
Psionic? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's psionic.
Yeah.
You have him, and by doing things in your run, you unlock other characters. But when that guy dies or escapes, the world remains the same.
Yeah, the simulation is still the same.
Yes. But you go in it with a different character, so any boxes you looted have already been looted. Any containers you looted have already been looted.
Yep.
Plus side, weirdly enough, any card keys you have, you've already still got. Any stuff
Passwords.
like that. Passwords, stuff like that.
And in some cases, stuff you've repaired or hacked stay available for the other characters.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So then you go in it with the second character and you keep going through. Now, the really weird thing that they do here, bless you,
Thank you.
is basically the longer you're in the simulation, the harder it gets.
Yes, this is very much the Risk of Rain. But Risk of Rain does the same thing, where the longer you're in the game, the more enemies there are, and the harder the enemies are, and the more health they have. I feel like Prey takes that and sort of changes a little bit, because there are some, like, for example, I lost a 90-minute run the other day, which I was sort of salty about, but not really, because I learned something really good. When you play as Riley Yu, the director, when you play as her, for the mission that she can do, it literally just says, check your email. So you have to go all the way up to your office, and hopefully the stairs aren't destroyed. And check your email, and it starts you on this whole path for basically her way of escaping the simulation. And one of the very last steps is...
Quick correction here. Her way of escaping the moon base.
Right, sorry. One of the very last steps is go find this volunteer. It's going to be in a random spot in the moon base. And go resurrect him with Phantom Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
And then, once you've done that, go escape. But the part I missed was scan him? So I resurrected him, and then I just blasted the crap out of him.
Of course.
And then the mission doesn't fail, it just disappears. So I was like, I have spent, like, half the power was out in the entire station. So, like, I spent so much time just getting up the central shaft in Moonworks so I could get to this dude, and then I blast him away, and, like, my entire run is lost now.
Yep. I've had a couple of those so far.
Yeah.
I had 3 successful escapes, and on my way to a 4th, and then I got bloated up by the moon shark. No spoilers there. Go experience that thing for yourself.
I killed the moon shark for the first time today.
I don't know how I'm supposed to do it.
Q-beam.
Okay.
Yeah, I managed to get finally managed to find the Q-beam, the actual weapon fabrication plan and the cells. So I will start right away with a couple hundred cells. That wasn't good enough, but thankfully I managed to pick up an elite shotgun that also did fire damage.
Nice.
So I Q-beamed him as much as I could, used a Typhon lure, and then just went straight up at him and just... It was pretty great. So, what I was going to say about the increasing difficulty before I move on to the next point is the interesting thing is not only do enemies get stronger, but once the danger level, what is it called? Escalation?
Corruption level. Corruption,
yes. And God, the noise it makes when the corruption goes from one level to another is so loud and terrifying. I love it.
Yep.
Once the corruption moves from one level to another, enemies respawn.
Yep.
Which I had a really great time because I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go back to Pythias Labs. It should be fine. Nope, there's a Weaver. Fantastic.
Yep. 100%.
The thing I actually really do like is what I think is one of the most important features of roguelikes today is some sort of permanence between runs.
Yep.
And I think how they do that in Mooncrash is really interesting because not only do you have permanence of the neuromods you've spent and all the upgrades, which would have been fine by itself.
Yep, the fabrication plans.
That's my favorite part. So for anyone maybe that hasn't played Prey before, in the main game of Prey and especially in Mooncrash, you're picking up these fabrication plans. And let's say you pick up a neuromod fabrication plan. Not only can you make that at the fabricator in your run, which is fine, but most importantly, when you go to start a new character or start a new run, you can then purchase those items that you found the fabrication plans for before you start the run. So you're not just starting the run with that key card from the room you start with and a really crappy wrench at the beginning. You can, like I do, start with a silenced pistol and 450 rounds of ammo.
Yep.
For virtually nothing. But my initial concern about that was, oh, well, I'm just going to cruise right through this game because I can give myself nearly infinite ammo. And then they pull the everything is terrible from Binding of Isaac.
Yep. The game just got harder.
Yeah, and it's... What I really like is when the game... I'm now on Everything is Terrible 4, which is... Power can sometimes be out, sometimes...
You get hazards.
Places will just be on fire.
And radioactive is another one.
Yeah. Oh, God, I haven't run into that yet. Holy hell.
Electricity is another good one.
That one I ran into when I did... I successfully did the emulation with Riley Yu before the show. But her office, the bottom floor, was electrified. So I had
Let me tell you about the place that's electrified on my current run.
Oh, no.
The control tower in the dead center of the crater.
Yeah.
That entire bottom floor, the underground floor to get up there...
No.
...is electrified.
Oh, God.
The whole thing.
I'm surprised because I couldn't think of... when I used Riley's computer, I had to stand on the desk next to it and sort of like... I couldn't hit the right stick to get into it because then you put yourself on the floor. But that's way worse.
Yep.
That's so bad. The thing I do like is when you when you get kicked out of the simulation and you go back in once the game gets harder, I like that a memo pops up and it's like, here are the exact things that are now more difficult, and here are the enemies that are now way bigger jerks. Good luck.
Yep. Have you seen a nightmare yet? Because I sure have.
I saw one trapped, and thankfully that's the only time I've seen it.
I've seen two. One trapped and one not trapped.
Oh no. That's real bad.
Mm-hmm. The one trapped is like, oh, thank goodness you're trapped.
Yeah, I can scan you and keep moving.
Yep, the one not trapped, I was like, nope, I'm out of here, 100%. I died shortly thereafter. Which, let's just talk real quick about the world building that this game does.
Yeah.
Because it's really interesting take, because the character you play in this game is not a member of the company, whatever.
TranStar?
Yes.
Yeah.
The person you play in this is not a member of the TranStar employee. They're a member of a rival corporation, which, as it's described in game, is a smaller corporation who talk a big game, but they're kind of really struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
And you are a hacker who is using this data operator.
Yeah.
To hack into basically historical records of what has happened on the moon base.
Yeah.
Which is the same moon base which is referenced in Prey main game as the moon base that sends all of the supplies to Talos 1,
right,
which is the space station in Prey. Really randomly, there is hints that there is a canonical finish to Prey main game, because specifically mentioned is a shuttle headed towards the moon base, which is not responding to anything on radio signals.
Okay. So
it does tie quite nicely in there. Also,
right,
the fact that there is a U in this game is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The last name U in this case.
Right.
It's got some really neat ties into the actual main storyline of Prey, and it's doing a pretty good job of giving me actual story that correlates back to the OG Prey, which I love the story in that so much anyway.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the character who's playing the simulations is trying to like work off some sort of prison record by successfully escaping
his contract.
Yeah,
it's the thing you see in stuff like Syndicate, in Prey.
Yeah,
there's another huge example of it, but I can't remember what it is right now. But it's in a bunch of books in the actual original Prey, how you lose basic human rights, but you get paid a fantastic salary to go and work for this company.
Right, all these volunteers, quote unquote.
Even the regular employees,
yeah,
they give up basic rights to go sign this contract and work for this company and make a big paycheck. But if you don't fulfill that contract, then basically you end up indebted to that company.
Right.
So you basically become an indentured servant. So it's basically him working for this other little company, trying to work off his contract so he can go home to his family.
Right.
I love that world. It's such a good world.
I think I'm having a hard time with Mooncrash because I think this is a positive and a negative of the game. Is that there are so many different avenues to get to all these different places. Basically, Talos 1 was like, you had, what was it, like 15, 20 different areas in the station that had all those little like boxes on the map.
Yeah, something like that.
This one has 4, so it's the big crater and there's the 3 primary areas around it. Each one is pretty big, but it's not... You're racing against time, so I'm happy that it's not super huge. They're big enough that you can kind of get tripped up when things are different, but not big enough that it's like, well, this run is over because I can't get through this hallway.
Yeah.
One of my bigger problems, though, is I feel like I'm at the point now where some of my characters have enough Typhon neuromods purchased that I can't get through the barrier because you check the barrier and it says, you are Typhon. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Like, I'm on the wrong side, so I can't use or destroy the button, and I can't destroy the little touchpad that you use. And I haven't found the fabrication plans for the EMP grenades yet. So there are a couple of runs where I'm sort of like, I can't get to where I need to go.
Do you have the fabrication plans for the disruptor gun?
No.
Okay.
So
that
like
was going to be my next suggestion. That thing works as well.
Yeah, and I'm sort of like, one of the things I can do is I can use Phantom Genesis to bring up a Voltaic Phantom, have it come over, zip, zap, zip, all that stuff. Unfortunately, that will also degrade my weapons, but I feel like there's this really positive and negative pull with Mooncrash. I like that, like one of the first 2 or 3 times I played as Riley Yu, you come in Pythias Labs, you go up to the executive level. I'm like ready to go upstairs and get to the office, and the stairs are destroyed. And I'm like, now what?
Yep.
And I could explore, and there's 2 different ways up there. So now I know how to do that. It's like, okay, now I've gotten around a potential roadblock.
Don't forget the glue canister as well, by the way. The glue gun. The glue gun helps.
Yeah, that's true. There's actually a
glue grenade.
Yeah, I like the glue grenade a lot. There's actually like a planter that you can climb up, and like some pipes you can climb up to the 2nd floor. I like that there's that push and pull, but as the game gets harder and as the corruption starts going up faster and faster, I'm starting to feel a little bit frustrated by, like, all right, I clear out this stuff. I've run successfully away from the moon shark enough that it's not going to trip this door. Now I can't get through, and I can't get through any of the doors around this area, and the pathway into Pythias Labs underground is blocked. So now what? Like, there's this head-scratching moment of, am I going to throw this run away because I'm blocked? Or do I spend basically this whole run looking for a way around that maybe might not exist for this run?
Yeah. The big thing for me is I really, really, really want to know what all those control modules in the main control tower at the Moon Crater does.
I found out. They power or depower sections. And
not the ones underground. I'm talking about the ones in the very top. The ones underground,
what are those for?
I know about. But the ones at the very top, there is a safety switch that you cannot interact with, and there are slots on the sides for control modules, like the power modules.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do.
Boy, I wonder if there's an Everything is Terrible level 5. Probably.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Oh, you played a lot with mimic powers on your previous vanilla Prey playthroughs, right?
Yes, I did a full run where I was just mimic.
Is there, when you call up a phantom with Phantom Genesis, is there a way to get rid of it other than killing it?
I think there is, but I'm not 100% sure.
I tried looking at it, but I tried Googling it, but so many people online are like, well, Phantom Genesis sucks, and here's why. It's like, cool, I know. This one is setting me on fire. I need it to go away.
I think there is, but I'm not too sure what it is.
Okay, I'll keep experimenting.
My main thing with messing around with mimic powers was using I don't know if it's in Mooncrash, but it's the one where you basically teleport and you leave a phantom version of yourself there as like a decoy.
Yeah, I think Riley has it.
Probably. I haven't played as her yet. I unlocked her yesterday, but I was still on the same run that I'm doing now.
Right.
So
she starts with the
Psychoscope.
The Psychoscope, which is really fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do love me some Psychoscope.
And that might get you the plan to create it too.
I believe it does.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I still have the Custodian to unlock. I haven't really played as the security guy, mostly because I've been laser focused on, all right, I'm going to try to do each one of the escape plans before I start. Because part of it that I think is so interesting is one character can repair, so
yep,
you got to go to the mimic portal. Yeah, to repair and hack, and then go do an escape plan, and then the next character can then go use the portal to escape on that, and then another character can do mass driver, and it's really interesting to me. I'm sure someone has an article where it's do this and then do that, and then here's how all 5 escape, but I don't.
we're both taking the Isaac approach to this, where it's like we will figure it out as we do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, because I'd rather write down where it's like, all right, run number 1 needs to be custodian. She does X, Y, and Z. Perfect. Yep. Run number 2 is Riley Yu, and she needs to do some like eat a bunch of those time loop things as soon as she starts to get back to level 1, and then.
Fun fact for you: if you eat those time loop things, it does not decrease the level. Once the level has gone up, the level is stuck at that level.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I did decrease the level on my run earlier today, but it's because that loud noise didn't happen yet between 1 and 2. So as soon as the screen started getting weird in 3D, popped in my menu, ate a couple of those, and it pushed it all the way back down to the bottom of level 1.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So you have like a little bit of
the little tiny
there,
split second of leeway, yeah.
So, like, that's what I'm sort of excited about. I have heard one thing, though, and this is kind of a bummer, and I'm curious to see if they're going to address it, is that once you escape with all 5 people in one run, you cannot continue to play that campaign of Mooncrash.
What?
So, like, it completes your story, and you have to start back from the beginning again. And
that's a little not great.
Yeah, like, I understand why they would do it, because they're focusing on the story. I really hope they come out with a patch for just, hey, if you've completed it...
just put New Game Plus in, didn't they, as well?
Yeah, which I'll talk about during my section. But, like, just allow me to continue playing, because if you let me play it like a roguelike in all of the senses, I could see myself every couple of months firing this up and being like, all right, let's play around with this again. Like, let's maybe try to escape in a different order, or, you know, see how quickly I can get through something. I don't know, but
yeah,
having kind of a definitive end on that is not stopping me from playing it, but it's might stop me from finishing it for a while.
Yeah.
I might do everything else except for all 5 in one run.
That's not exactly great, is it?
No, and it is kind of a bummer. Push comes to shove, I have a PS4, so I can just back up my saves to the cloud, finish it, and then restore my saves from the cloud, and I'll be right there at the end. But that's not a great solution either. So I don't know. That's not you know, that's not me saying, you know, don't go buy it or I'm not enjoying it or anything. It's only $20, and you know, Moon and I have already gotten 10 hours in. We don't even have all 5 characters unlocked. I've encountered all 5 escape routes. I've done 3 of them: escape pod, shuttle, and emulation.
I've done escape pod and shuttle so far. Right now, I'm going for the mass driver one.
I think that'll be my next one, because the last one is the portal, which seems frustrating. But so far, I think if you like Prey, and you want to play Prey a little bit differently, like once you get the fabrication plan for the stop time loop, which is the stuff we were talking about before where it pulls down the corruption, you can kind of spend a bunch of, like, one of those is 500 or 1,000 credits, sim points, whatever they're called. And I'm basically finishing a run with 20 to 30,000 that I'm getting. So it's almost no points to spend. So you don't even have to play it super, super fast. If any of this sounds interesting, I can't recommend it enough. I think, especially because we're going to be getting more stuff coming later this year. Some of that is skins. I don't know if you've seen that in the game already.
No.
Where most of the weapons have weapon skins on them now, where it's like, because we bought Mooncrash, there's moon camo skins, which don't look great. Apparently, there's a bunch of free updates coming later this year that are all going to have free skins in them, which is such a strange thing for Prey to have. But so far, Prey Mooncrash, really great. I really wish I could load it without loading Prey first.
Yeah.
Because waiting through the openup manuals.bethsoft.com twice is tiresome. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just can't get Mooncrash out of my head.
Yeah, me too.
Like it's, right now, I'm just stuck in space. It's like, am I on the moon or am I in deep space? You know, it's one or the other for me right now. And
I sort of wish they got the same voice actor back for Morgan's brother.
Yes, for Alex. Is that a different guy?
It is, yeah.
I did not even notice because all I've heard is him booming through the speakers at me.
Yeah, there's a very small amount of voiceover in the game, which is kind of nice. It very much is, it very much is a quieter experience than Vanilla Prey, because it is, I'm going to listen for mimics, I'm going to listen for phantoms. Hopefully I don't have my very first run ended with a Weaver, because I got to the escape pods, I cleared out the bottom floor, and I couldn't see anything on the top floor, and I was like, alright, great, I'm perfect, I'm going to go up there, I'm going to go to the shuttle, or the escape pod, and get the hell out of here. I go up the lift, right in front of my face is a Weaver. Like, two-shotted me. I was like, great. Welcome back to Prey.
Yep. Yeah. Welcome back, here's a kick in the teeth.
Yeah. But yeah, Mooncrash is pretty great so far.
Yeah, it really is.
But it's kind of a game. It's kind of a game for us. It is Prey plus roguelike.
Yeah,
like
I'm just very disappointed right now by the finish it with all 5 people on there and that's it. You're done. That's no.
Yeah,
big mistake.
I'm hoping they're gonna do something about it. But I haven't seen. I've been meaning to visit the Prey subreddit just to see if there's been any interviews or like postmortems or patches coming out or anything like that. But I just haven't had the time yet because I've been playing Mooncrash.
Yep, understandably.
Yeah. All right, that's all your games,
yeah,
right?
I'm done. It's all on you now. You take the jar of eels and you run with it.
I will take the jar of eels. Diablo 3 Season 14 just started this past week, so playing a little bit of that. They've starting on this season, and it sounds like going forward with every other season, they're going to do a theme for each season.
Okay.
This theme has some name, something about gold, but basically every treasure goblin that spawns in pairs.
Ah. Interesting. I might have to jump into this season's mode, considering I have like 3 achievements left and one of them is kill treasure goblins.
Yep, that will help you a ton. Because a lot of people online I saw were initially disappointed by it because they're like, well, that's dumb, it's kind of silly. It's so much fun killing 2 of these things at the same time and just seeing loot vomit all over the level.
There's always the best thing about those things though, like that.
Yeah,
stuff like that is always great. Same with like the things in Borderlands, like the loot goblins or the loot gnomes or whatever it is. When you open up a box and they just pop out, it's like, okay, I'll take it. It's literally a tiny little weak enemy that spits out loot. I'm happy.
Yeah, I think I'd started running this on like Wednesday, and the so how the seasons work, if anyone hasn't played them, basically there's a string of challenges in multiple tiers. I think there's like 10 or 11 challenges. A lot of them are like, go pick up a treasure cache from adventures in each one of the 4 areas, and that's like 1 per.
Yeah.
Hit level 40, hit level 50, 60, 70. Once you complete all 4 of the first ones, you'll basically have your one full class set of armor. And they just give it to you. And this season, the Demon Hunter one, which is my preferred class, is the Marauder set, which is the set I like running as. It's basically you're spitting out 4 turrets, and each turret increases your damage by 3,000%. And
jeez.
Basically, once I got that, I'm safely on Torment 7, and if I really push, I can go up to Torment 10.
Nice.
So, doing pretty well, and that's another reason why I suggest people play the seasons is it just gives you a full set of armor to try out, and I finally found out what happens between seasons. When a season rolls over, all the stuff you put in your stash on your seasonal characters...
It goes straight into your own main game stuff, doesn't it? Like, it just gets slotted over.
It goes into your mail. And then in each category, you can just, on PS4, you can hit triangle, and it just pulls all that stuff from the mail and straight into your stash. Or you can manage it and pull out and sell what you want. So, like, you don't... As long as you don't have it equipped on that character, you don't really lose anything, which is...
That's kind of cool.
You sort of win on both ends. So, Diablo 3 is still really good. And I got to the point where I could do all that with my seasonal character, and I realized I hadn't really played much as the Necrodancer, the new class in that DLC. So I played a little bit of that today. I moved from, like, level 10 to level 45, I think it is. And so far, that seems pretty great. I like making corpses out of enemies and exploding them. So that's...
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Yeah, that's pretty great. In the background, I've been playing some Fallout Shelter since it just came out for PS4.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I downloaded Fallout Shelter, 3 years ago when it came out on iOS and Android?
Yep, roughly that long.
Yeah. And I played it for maybe like a month and didn't play it since then. So a large part of why I'm still playing it is because nearly everything in it is new. And it feels really weird, though, to be playing...
Let's call it
game. Yeah, like a mobile game on my console where it's like, I'm going to fire up for 5 minutes, do a bunch of stuff, close it, move on to something else, instead of just sitting there for hours like normal.
I have played this game on my Xbox way too much.
Yeah. I fired it up to check it out when it came out, because it's free.
Yeah.
And I'm a PS Plus member, so they gave me like 10... lunchboxes to start out with, and I was like, okay, well, that's great. I like that. And now I'm kind of 100% into it.
Yep.
And a lot of the trophies are pretty fair. They seem like they're the same trophies, or the achievements over on Xbox One.
There is one there is not, and that's the one achievement I have left in that game.
What is it?
It is to unlock, I think it's 25 classic survivors.
Oh, wow.
So,
that is not on the PS4 version.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Because the only way you can get it's the legendary survivors. So when you open a lunchbox or recruit a survivor or whatever, they can be normal color, they can be blue, or they can be gold. Mm-hmm. If they're gold, they're a legendary survivor, like Preston Carvey from Fallout 4, or different people from different games throughout the time period. The only way you can get them on the Xbox version is through the lunchboxes.
Okay.
And you can get lunchboxes through regular missions and dailies and stuff like that, but it's kind of super rare that you can get them that way. And then even then, your chances of getting one in an actual lunchbox is super duper rare.
That sucks.
That's kind of the worst part about it, to be honest.
Sorry, I was just replying to someone on Mixer here. Yeah, I was gonna look it up and then I got distracted here. I'm fairly sure that isn't in the PS4 one, but I'll sort of look it up here between segments. But Fallout Shelter is still pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's really good. The design on it is quality. The art style is the classic Fallout art style as well, which definitely helps.
So I'm just sort of... I need a bunch of... That's why I was so excited to play Diablo 3, is I need a bunch of comfort food games right now, and between Diablo 3 and Fallout Shelter and Prey, like those are pretty much comfort food games, oddly enough, Prey. Speaking of Prey, though, I did, alongside Mooncrash, there was a patch for Vanilla Prey that added 3 additional things. We talked about it a little bit last week. One was story difficulty, which I think the game says survival is all but guaranteed. So
which is it's a good addition for that game.
Yeah, I would like more people to play around with that game, especially since it can be tense, it can be scary. It would be nice to just remove that difficulty completely.
Yeah.
Survival mode, which is present naturally in Mooncrash, which is you can get burned, break legs. Weapons have
degradability on them.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The word that's escaping me right now.
Same. Durability.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Weapons have durability on them, a lot of stuff like that. I don't know if it has... Part of what Mooncrash has is sometimes you can pick up weapons that have already been upgraded, and they sort of have the normal, like, white, blue, green, orange rarity colors. Yep. I don't know if that's in survival. I did hear... And I have to believe this isn't true, but I haven't tried. I did hear scuttlebutt that the survival mode in Vanilla Prey does not have the medicines that repair broken bones and burns and stuff.
Why not?
That doesn't sound right, because like if you break a leg at the beginning, then you can't sprint. Like you can hardly walk. That doesn't sound right. So I'm not entirely sure. But what I did is I started a new game plus game. I had to go back and finish the game again. Like I had a save at the very ending where I had picked my ending. Let's not spoil it.
Yes.
Went through the whole went through the whole like post credits thing and got all that, and then at that point I created a new game plus save. And this is really interesting. When you go through, you don't get anything until you get into Morgan's office the very first time. You know how there's that locker, like that big tall locker in the corner?
Yes.
Open that up. There's a psychoscope in there. And as soon as you pick that up, all of your trees, like all of your neuromod trees, are suddenly all filled in from where you left them off at the end.
That's kind of cool.
It's really cool because being able to just start the game and start repairing stuff and hacking things, it's like immediately you go find all the safes you can, hack them because I have hacking 4. So I'm getting like, oh, here's a shotgun, here's a thing to make a glue cannon, here's a Q-beam laser. You know, like I have all that stuff at the beginning, and you have sneaking, you have 300 health, your psi is through the roof. It feels really good to play Prey again.
And be super OP.
Yeah, and it feels really good to play Prey and just stomp it. Just being able to go through and... Like, one of the things I think is interesting, because when we played Prey, I played it that one time, and then I put it back on the shelf. Not because it was bad, but I sort of had my experience, and I didn't really want to go do the Mimic run for reasons I don't remember why. But now going through, it's really interesting to see, now that you know Prey, like how many neuromods you can get really early on, where it's like, you get the first one, of course, but then it's like, you go to that little museum they have off the Talos lobby, and it's like, oh, well, there's just one sitting on the skull here. Like, why didn't I pick that up before?
The best thing is, before you even actually get to the lobby itself, in that first area, like the volunteer area, I think there's like 7 that you can get before you even need to leave that place.
Nice. Ah, man, Prey is so good.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I'm sort of enjoying playing Prey again. Just going through, and I probably won't finish it on New Game Plus, but I'm kind of enjoying when I get a little burnt out on Mooncrash, where like I have a bad run, or like that run I had where I was a Typhon and I can't get into anything.
Yeah.
I can always just switch back over to Vanilla Prey and just kind of...
Stomp a little bit.
Yeah, kind of stomp a little bit. It's like what we were talking about in a couple of days in Binding of Moonpier, where it's like when you need a break from bashing your head on the brick wall over here. There's this thing over here where you can win. You're like, all right,
Yeah.
I have it back. Like I'm ready to go, and then run back into a brick wall. The only question I had, I don't believe I saw this, and the sentence is going to make no sense to anybody that maybe hasn't played Prey, but I know you played it a ton.
Yes.
Can a mimic a mimic? So, I swear to God, I had a mimic a dead body of a mimic.
I believe they can.
Scared the crap out of me, because at this point, like, I have a shotgun, so if there's a mimic and it's going to pop out, great. Like, I don't really care. I have 300 health. Like, I'm just going to, we'll take care of it. But
yep.
I went to go investigate a mimic's body part, like one of those long leg parts.
The little tendrils, yeah.
Yeah, and it just jumped into my face, and it was a friggin' mimic. I was like, you can't do that. Come on. You're killing me here. Okay, good to know I wasn't crazy.
No, my favorite one of them is Mimic Turret. Use your Mimic ability to mimic a turret, and you can fire like a turret would. It's incredible.
Crazy. Yeah, I'm sort of excited / frustrated by using those mimic powers in Mooncrash, because I feel like there are less downsides, because I think you and I had the same reaction to Vanilla Prey when January is very much like, look, if you do too many Typhon stuff, the station is going to turn on you.
Yep.
Which you find out, not really.
Not really.
Yeah. And I'm finding that to be the case very much in Mooncrash, which is sort of like, this turret is really angry at me, but it's asleep, so
what does it matter?
Yeah, like
the only thing in Mooncrash that bothers you, the thing that changes that in Mooncrash is the stupid gates.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say the Harvester. Harvester is a really great way to just end your run. Also, by the way,
I did not know that.
It will swallow you up and just crunch you in one shot. That's why it says proximity warning. And I was like, what is it going to? Okay, I'm dead. Cool. Let's Mr. Shadow in Mixer, chill. We're just comments about what we're doing. I don't know if Mixer has the stuff underneath the video window that says what we're doing, but if it does, go read that stuff. I finished Moonlighter.
Oh yes, you finally actually did the cycle.
Yeah, I finally kind of. I wasn't feeling burnt out on the game, but I was I was feeling like I needed to just push all the way through it. Because I felt like one of the trophies in the game is fill out the notebook. And that is picking up every single item from all 4 dungeons and then crafting every single weapon and armor piece.
Yeah.
And that's not really going to be that hard. It's going to be incredibly time consuming. So I thought, well, I have to be able to go back into the first 4 dungeons once I beat the game. Let me just beat the game and see the ending, and then I can just farm the hell out of the rest of the stuff. Only to realize I didn't pick up an item that the first boss drops on the ground, so I couldn't get that trophy.
Of course.
Which is fine, because I would rather have figured it out then instead of in 300 hours, and then finding out like, oh good, I have to do all of this again.
It's the Dead Rising 1 thing of, I need to listen to every single conversation. Oh, wait, you mean I missed the second conversation in the game, and I went through the rest of the game making sure I listened to every single one of them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I figured, all right, screw it, let's just finish the game. I actually really liked the ending, because after you beat all 4 dungeons, the fabled 5th doorway opens up, and you go through, and it's just sort of a long walking sequence and then the boss, which I won't spoil. I actually really liked it because there was a ton of story stuff. There's a little bit of story stuff that's hinted in the other 4 dungeons. And enough for me to sort of be like, wait, what? Maybe this sort of isn't what I'm thinking it is. And then the 5th dungeon sort of explains all of that.
Drops the knowledge bomb on you.
Yeah, in sort of really of an interesting way. And I really liked the final boss. It wasn't super hard, mostly because I was all the way upgraded. So I sort of felt rewarded for going through and doing all of that stuff. And there was a really great story sequence at the end that sort of finishes explaining everything that happened. And then the game pretty much says, okay, cool, you can go back into those 4 dungeons now if you have anything else you need to do. Like, you can just farm those and make Moonlighter your store. Just make that the most profitable, store in the world.
Nice.
And I kind of like that it just said, like, okay, now you're done, so just, you can do whatever the hell you want. So, I really want to go for the platinum because I enjoy Moonlighter so much, but...
Knowing you missed that one item.
No, like,
playthrough.
I started another playthrough. You can only have one going at a time, which is understandable, but sort of a bummer. It seems like a lot of the trophies are broken. There are 4 trophies, and each one is, like, get to the 3rd floor of each dungeon 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've done that at least 20 times, and none of them have popped. And I'm looking around online, a lot of other people are having the same problem, where it's like, defeat 1,000 enemies. I have done more than that, and that trophy hasn't popped for anybody on PS4. So it seems like
that sounds like a Q&A glitch.
Yeah, and it either sounds like they've put out a bunch of patches, which is really great, and I appreciate that they've been on top of it, but I haven't seen anything from the developers yet saying, like, yes, this is a problem, we're working on fixing it. So until then, I'm going to sort of assume that it's broken, and then kind of put it to the side for now, and once they get fixed, it might be, whether it's like a week or a couple of months, whatever, I'll probably be pretty pumped to go back to Moonlighter and start a whole brand new run from the beginning.
Yeah, my favorite ones with those type of broken ones are, you got 2 fixes, you've got, it's fixed, go, load up the game, it'll pop.
Yeah, you just get like
fixed,
10 of them. Yeah.
It's fixed, go, start the game again, because it's just reset all the counters for you.
Yeah. And either way would be fine. I'd like to play Moonlighter again. I was looking at I didn't realize it was a Kickstarter, like 3 years ago, I think. There were a whole bunch of stretch goals that haven't been implemented in the game, and they say that they're working on a bunch of them now. So even if they don't fix them anytime soon, it would be a bummer, because that stuff should be working. I'm excited for them to put a whole bunch of additional stuff in the game that sounds really cool. So
yeah,
be enough of a reason to go back into Moonlighter. And last but not least, the Final Fantasy V 4-job Fiesta has started yet again.
Yes.
I
started with a monk?
Yeah, I this year I decided to start again with a normal run, which is just, it will give you a job from a crystal normally.
Yeah.
Revenant Kyoku, Eric Koizel, the guy who runs it, introduced a new mode this year that I won't spoil for anybody. It's called Forbidden Run.
Okay.
That's a real thing. That's a real tough thing that some people have gotten themselves into. I have what is generally considered the worst 4 classes and jobs you can get, hands down.
One is a monk, that much I know.
Yeah, I started with monk, which is fine. World 1, you're just sort of punch-sizing everything for the whole time. You have no healing, that's fine. You're doing so much damage, you just brute force it. I only had problems with one boss. I super over-leveled and just kind of motored my way through it. The second one was Berserker, which...
Is that another physical damage person I'm hearing?
Yes, the famous Final Fantasy V, Job, Berserker. This is the one where you cannot control them. All they do is attack. They pick a random target, and they just go nuts.
Yep.
I have Geomancer, which is one of the worst classes. Geomancer, they have a skill called Gaia that does some effect that depends on two factors. One is your character's level. The other factor is the type of tile, like sprite tile, you're standing on.
Okay,
if you're in a forest versus a swamp,
desert.
Those are going to be different attacks, and then differing based on your level.
Okay.
It's so bad. Almost none of the attacks do any damage. There's one attack that's like a wind-based attack that hits everybody that will do damage once I have a knife that boosts wind damage. Beyond that, useless. And again, no healing.
Okay. And what's the last component to this 4-piece puzzle of nightmares?
Dancer. Which, Dancer is a class I really, 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 really like.
When it's got good support classes?
Not even that. You sort of need one piece of equipment. So, the Dancer's main skill is, unsurprisingly, dance. And there are 6 attacks it can do, I think. Like, one leeches health, one leeches MP, one charms them, etc., etc. The one you really want is Sword Dance. Basically, like, I'm in halfway through World 2 right now. My monks are doing, like, 300 damage per punch, which sucks. My Berserker is using the Doom Scythe, which is the thing I'm never going to stop them having, which does about 1,000 damage right now. The great part about the Doom Scythe is this is when you start breaking Final Fantasy V. The Doom Scythe will occasionally cast Death on an enemy, just as an attack. There are a whole bunch of bosses that are not immune to death. So
that's good.
You
good
just sort of auto attack until that kicks in. It kills them. You're back on your way. That does about 1,000 damage. Sword Dance right now does 4,300 damage.
Nice.
Like, it is so far and above beyond, but you only have a 25% chance of doing that every time you use the dance skill. If you have this one item, that increases to 50%, which makes the Dancer much, much more lethal. And then additionally, I'm trying not to go too deep into Final Fantasy V because I have so much in my head about breaking this game.
Yes.
There's this one...
We have listened to you talk about FF for like
10
years.
Yeah. There's this one village really late in the game that there's a secret passageway into, and this guy gives you a choice between a sword or a dagger. And the real choice is the... Hold on, I gotta time somebody out. The real one is that have you escaped from battles, or have you managed to stay in battles the whole time? So the sword is called the Brave Blade, and the knife is called the Chicken Knife. The Brave Blade starts at 127 damage, which is the max. Mm-hmm. Every time you escape, it goes down by 1. But the Chicken Knife starts at 0 and increases every time you escape.
Okay.
None of my party members can use swords, so I've been powering up the Chicken Knife like crazy. Every time you attack with a Chicken Knife, it has a chance of your party just escaping from battle completely. Unless you put it on your Dancer and you use Dance, then that negates it. So, like, I'm setting up stuff now to sort of combine much later to try and make the end of the game as easy as I can, because
otherwise it's going to be a nightmare.
This has already been a nightmare. This has been such a horrible run that one of the biggest problems with Final Fantasy V is you can't buy high potions in World 1. You can do that as soon as you've hit World 2. Potions heal for 50 HP. High potions heal for 500. When you get to the end of World 1 and enemies are hitting for 400 damage...
That's a lot of potions.
But you don't have enough time to toss 8 potions at one person before they hit for 400 again. Like,
oh yeah,
you get in this horrible position where if you don't have any healing, which normally would be not a problem in Final Fantasy V, because like everybody would have white magic on them for some of the tougher battles, you basically have to just over level and then go in there and just DPS race that boss down before they kill you, and then keep on moving.
Yeah.
So
it's literally brute force.
Yeah,
the definition
exactly.
of it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because of the Berserker, I'm sort of a person down, because for anyone that hasn't played Final Fantasy V, thank you for sticking around. One of the most important things is you have your primary job that has all those skills, and then you have an additional ability that can be from any of the other jobs you know. In Fortnite Fiesta, it's just from the other 3 jobs you could potentially know. The Berserker can't use any of that, because all it does is just attack. It will not use any other skills.
He also has a tendency... Is he the one who can also attack your team?
No, thankfully Berserker in 5 cannot attack your team.
Okay.
That's only if they're confused, which a Berserker can get confused, and that's terrible, because you're just one-shotting basically your entire team. So far it's been manageable. So far it hasn't been that impossible. It has just been a slog. And I'm now at the point where I'm too proud to give up on it. Like, I have to finish it, because this
you can't admit defeat.
Yeah, like, this run cannot beat me. And I'm already planning... So I'm playing on the iOS version, which has been great, because like I can just play it anywhere, and it has quick save, so I can save it anywhere and then just resume whenever I want. I just need to block someone else. My next plan is to do a chaos run next time, which is basically... Once you get the second crystal, it can assign any job from the crystals you already have unlocked. So, worst case scenario, you could just get 4 jobs from the first crystal. Which can't be any worse than the run I'm having, I don't think.
You say that now.
I know. I feel like I just jinxed myself.
Yes, 100% you did.
Yeah. That stinks.
That was a mistake.
Alright, we've talked a ton, mostly about Go Play Pray.
Yes.
And we have a ton of stuff in the second segment, and that's all the games I've been playing, so let's take a break. Let's talk releases for the week of June 25th, 2018. Starting off with the showstopper Luminous Remastered for PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One.
Oh no. It might be the first time I've ever played Luminous for more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like if you haven't picked it up by this point, as long as this thing functions, it's gonna be really great.
Come on, dude. I mean... Like, literally, I have 200 and something games. I don't need another one, but I'm gonna add another one.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's Luminous.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot to... Did I mention in the Elite Dangerous section? I did... Well, I'll talk about the stories next week, but I totally forgot to mention that I threw 15 bones at them.
Oh, nice.
I bought cosmetic stuff because I've played countless hours of that game.
8 bajillion hours.
And because a certain somebody, my wife, cough cough, has a habit of crashing into me.
Yeah.
She has pink vapor trails on her weapons and her ship.
Okay.
So her argument was, buy the green ones, then I'll be aware of where you're up to.
Fair enough.
I now have green vapor trails and green weapons fire for my ship.
I feel like that's another one of those instances where it's like, yeah, every couple of months you're gonna throw a couple of bucks their way because the game continues to be great and the developers are great. Like,
yep.
Why not?
And literally, I got this on the early access on the Xbox, so it was like 15 bones at the time.
Jeez.
And I got the DLC on sale, which was like 10 bones at the time. So I paid 25 bones for this incredible game. So yeah, have an additional 15. That's fine.
Exactly. Nier Automata Become as Gods Edition is coming out for the Xbox One.
Oh look, it's another game I need to buy.
Oh no. This is Nier Automata plus all of the DLC. Most of it was cosmetic. I never played the quote-unquote story DLC. You basically fight the CEO of Square Enix, which sounds great.
Sakurai, isn't it?
No, it's I don't remember his name. No, it's the Square Enix CEO, not the Sony one.
Okay.
So it's like someone you'd never see.
It's like Kojima being in Metal Gear.
Yeah, exactly. I remember recruiting him in Peace Walker. I found him in the back of a van.
Yep.
As a reminder, Nier Automata does not have a physical release on Xbox One. It's just digital. So you don't go to Best Buy looking for it. The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit coming out, reminder, for free on PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Is that this week?
That's this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, honey, oh dear, if you're still watching, go pre-order. Thank you.
Yeah. It's free, so yeah, just download it. It's coming out on the 25th or the 26th. I don't remember which. I've been seeing both dates, but it'll be coming out. Don't forget, like we talked about last week at E3, play this on the platform of your platform of choice, because some of the choices are going to carry over into Life is Strange 2. Nobody really knows what, but you know, Moon's wife in chat says, "You're not my boss," all on caps. So,
well, yes,
yeah, that's fair. Inside and Limbo are both coming to Switch. I mean, both of those are really great games. I can personally vouch for Inside being really great.
Limbo is incredible too, but play Limbo before you play Inside would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I've never gone back to Limbo.
Limbo is a bit more punishing.
Yeah, and I bet those both look really good on that screen.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. And then go listen to our Game Club episode for Inside that we did.
Yep.
Last year sometime, I think. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy coming to PC, Switch, and Xbox One.
Oh boy,
that's a really good. I have that for PS4, and it looked great. It's super smooth. It's really good, and it contains the 3 good Crash games.
Yeah, I'm more excited about the Spyro one, to be honest.
Yeah,
Spyro was always my jam.
That one looks really good. They made it look so good. I've never fully played a Spyro game, so I'm super excited to pick those up and play a Spyro game.
Yes, well worth it.
Yeah.
Probably after Mario 64, like probably my favorite like platforming games ever.
Nice.
The Spyro games.
Yeah. That's what I've always heard from so many people. It's like I just missed the boat for some reason, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Crew 2 comes out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Crickets.
I've made my feelings clear about that. I'm very curious to see how they support that long term, because that seems to be Ubisoft's MO at this point. Is sort of like, all right, here's a game, and then for the next 5 years, we're just going to support the hell out of it. So,
yep.
Curious to see if they're gonna, I guess, how they're going to support that, because I feel like this isn't really an annual or semi-annual franchise for them, so they could do some interesting stuff there.
Yeah, this isn't an Assassin's Creed. This is a Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, exactly. And last but not least, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, comes out on the Switch.
Good game.
Yeah. I sort of wish they would have brought the first one instead. But I have seen some footage of this, and it looks and plays pretty well. It's 30 frames, and I think in handheld mode it's 720p, which, I mean, is fine for handheld mode. So it looks pretty good. All right, let's move on to news stories. Oh God. Okay. Let's start with the one that I most want to talk about, and I don't want to talk about at all. Sony plus Fortnite. So we have a lot of news stories, but this is the most important one, I think. Let's reverse a little bit to like the week before E3, or like E3 week.
E3 week, it was the Nintendo.
That's right, it was the Direct. Yeah, Nintendo said, "Hey, Fortnite's coming out on Switch." Everyone went, "Cool, that's great."
And then they went, "It's right now," and everyone went, "Awesome,
awesome." So when people want to go download Fortnite on Switch, if their Epic Games account was currently tied to a PSN profile, you were unable to play Fortnite on Switch. The error message very clearly said, essentially, you can't crossplay. Like, go play it on PS4 or disconnect your PSN profile from your Epic Games account. To say that this has blown up is probably the understatement of the year. I saw a news report, an interview with Reggie on MSNBC about crossplay in
Nintendo
Fortnite.
Reggie.
Yeah, and they got Reggie on the E3 floor on an interview about, yo, what's up with this?
I bet he wasn't expecting to be ambushed on the E3 floor.
No, he was like off on the side. It was very much like we called Reggie, and like it was like a formal thing, but like it was really crazy to see this woman on MSNBC saying like, we're talking about PlayStation 4 and Fortnite and crossplay and cross-save, and it has been interesting. Before we get to what Sony said, there was a really great interview, like we said last week, with Jeff Gerstmann over at John Baum and Phil Spencer over at Microsoft, and Jeff asked him, like, hey man, this is happening right now. How do you feel about crossplay? Like, how do you feel about Sony? This was before Sony made a statement. Like, sort of, how do you feel about that? And Phil essentially said, everybody wins with crossplay. Like, Microsoft is a third-party partner with Nintendo. Like, why wouldn't we be? Like, we just want more people to play our games everywhere they can play our games. Like, and we don't care if someone on a Switch wants to play with someone on Xbox. Why would we stop that?
They've also shown that they put a lot of stock behind the Xbox brand, but they've shown a lot of forethought for people by saying, if you want it on the PC, it's also on the PC.
Yep.
If that's your method of choice, that's fine.
Yeah, like anywhere you want to play a popular game, you can play with Xbox and PC players on your phone, like on Switch, whatever. And Reggie, in that interview, essentially said the same thing. Like, look, you're going to have to talk to Sony. I can't speak for them, but we really want people to play anywhere they can. We have a mobile console. We want you to go places with it and play with a bunch of people. And I think that was a pretty great response from him. That's basically, go talk to Sony. So Sony put out a statement, and it's not super long, but I do want to read it in full because it sucks. It says, we are always open to hearing what the PlayStation community is interested in to enhance their gaming experience. With more than 80 million monthly active users on PlayStation Network, we've built a huge community of gamers who can play together on Fortnite and all online titles. We also offer Fortnite crossplay support with PC, Mac, iOS, and Android devices, expanding the opportunity for Fortnite fans on PS4 to play with even more gamers on other platforms. We have nothing further to add beyond this at this point. End quote.
Yo, F Nintendo, F Xbox.
Yeah, but also, like, F Sony. Like, go to hell, dude. Like, they're at this point, if Microsoft is getting into something that you have not been doing for years, you're way behind the 8 ball here. And for them to come out with this smarmy, oh, we have 80 million people. You can play with people on PC and phone. That's not the point. Like, no one... Console exclusives suck. And,
yes.
like, especially as a Destiny player, console exclusives really suck. And I'm on the console that gets the exclusive, and it sucks. The thing that sucks even worse is not being able to play crossplay when there's really no reason not to.
Yep. I can't remember who it was. I think it's Greencapped. Someone I follow on Twitter, friend of the shows kind of thing, Southcast, TVGP, all of us. I'm pretty sure he's got 2 kids, and I'm pretty sure he was really pumped to be able to play PC, Switch, and PlayStation 4 with his 2 kids at the same time. In
like
the same
3-man
house.
squad, yeah.
And a big happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, can't do it, because everything's already linked to the Switch. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Like, literally, you're stealing the dreams of children?
Well, and also, like, the thing that bothers me so much is There's really no reason for this. At some point, I understand that a company wants to have people purchase and play as much stuff as they can on their platform.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like Minecraft and Fortnite and PUBG are way too big. The rules go out the window when you're dealing with stuff. Also Rocket League. Like, these are games that are so massively huge that I feel like those rules can't apply anymore. You just want people playing it on your platform, or at least you don't want to turn it into this thing where nobody can play it on your platform anymore, because then they can't play with the other 2 consoles that are out right now.
Yeah. Mad props to Microsoft, by the way, because as soon as this whole thing hit, Major Nelson was out on his Twitter feed being like, if you want to play with Microsoft and Switch crossplay, there you go, here's a guide on how to do it, immediately throwing out links and stuff.
Yep.
It felt a little bit like they were throwing some shade.
Sure.
But at the same time, it was like, kind of deserve it, because this feels like you will want to work a second job to buy our console kind of comment.
Well, it felt very much like, remember the E3 when the Xbox One got unveiled and Shuhei Yoshida did the lending games thing where they handed a game to another person and they're like, that's complete. I'm sure Microsoft is sort of like, we get them back now. Like,
oh yeah.
But I think this has to be one of the most baffling and stupid decisions I have seen someone in the video gaming space make in a really, since probably the PS3 launched at $600.
Yep.
This is astronomically stupid and anti-consumer and anti-gamer. It's so insane. Yeah, Almighty Tooth in chat says Nintendo tweeted at Microsoft asking if they wanted to play Minecraft. Like, I love it. Like, get super salty and get shady about Sony, because like this has been a groundswell for a really long time, ever since Rocket League announced that they were going cross-platform, and then Minecraft and Overwatch sort of pushed that too. I think the thing with it is you talk about Rocket League is a big audience, but not global big, not mainstream media big. Yeah, not like
Overwatch,
Minecraft and Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite is the thing where it's like, no, you don't understand, dude. Basketball players are tweeting about this thing on a regular basis. Ellen DeGeneres is talking about this game on her Twitter feed.
Right.
That means that you should probably lay off the rules when it comes to this specific instance.
And all it does is make Sony look petty. And I'm saying this as a Sony fan. And number 2, just makes people disconnect their PSN profiles in droves and not play on PS4, because why would you at this point?
Yep. And say bye-bye to that 30% take on all of the purchases.
Yep, battle passes and everything.
Yep.
Yeah,
say bye-bye to all that stuff.
It sucks. And the fact that Sony, it's now been about a week and Sony still hasn't said anything else is just unacceptable.
It's... fast forward a little bit into the questions section here, but after their E3 showing, this...
It's exactly what they didn't need to do.
Yeah.
They could have garnered so much goodwill by just saying like, okay, we're gonna pull down the wall that separates crossplay. We're gonna work with all these other console manufacturers and, you know, start getting this stuff to really work and support it officially. And I think people would have been like, all right, E3 sucks. This was the right move. Like, going forward, this is really great for all these games that people play.
Mm-hmm.
But they decided to double down on doing the wrong thing.
Sony gonna Sony.
Yep. It sucks because they're in first place. They just needed to keep doing the right thing, and they would stay there.
This is exactly what they did last time they were in first place.
Yep.
Sony gonna Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Last time they were in first place,
$600.
Yep. Work a second job to buy our new console. Second time they're in first place, we don't care.
You own,
as Tooth says, our network's big enough.
Yeah. They're breaking your knees so you can't run away.
Mm-hmm.
No one else can have you. It's only me.
No. I just don't get it. Like, the world is full of hate and bigotry and so much terrible things going on right now.
Yep.
Just be an entertainment company.
Can I cartoon shoot some people in Fortnite?
Do something positive for the world.
Yeah. Well, it's personally really frustrating because on so much of this stuff, my primary console is PS4 and Moon's primary console is the Xbox One, and I will use the Xbox One, but it's just not really the experience that I'm enjoying this generation.
Yeah.
If we could play some of these games across platforms,
oh hey,
everybody wins.
We just love to get into a wing in Elite Dangerous and be able to play.
Probably.
Because Frontier has their own Frontier account that you sign up for.
Right.
That uses your gamer tag. Wouldn't it be really fun if we could all do it? I actually don't even know if Elite Dangerous is crossplay between PC and Xbox right now.
But wouldn't it be great to play Diablo 4 together on 2 different platforms? Like
when
anything.
It comes out, yes.
Yeah.
Diablo 3 would be fun too.
Yeah. Like, so frustrating. So, in summary, that sucks, Sony. You suck. Come on. Get it together. Something else that sucks, Friday the 13th, the game, will not be getting any new content.
Yep.
This is crazy, and I sort of still don't fully understand this. There's a larger Friday the 13th lawsuit going on that stems from the original film's scriptwriter trying to reclaim rights to Friday the 13th, is how I understand it.
Yes. The lawsuit has got nothing to do with the video game. It's got nothing to do with the publishers, the developers, or
it's like the Mad Max one, where it's like, shut down Mad Max completely. We're put it on hold.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, since this is a Friday the 13th lawsuit, basically Gun Media, who's was developing Friday the 13th, the game, said they can't work on this anymore. Like, they were going to do a bunch of new camp counselors, some new Jasons, a new spaceship map, and...
Oh, really?
The Grendel?
You didn't get the spaceship map?
Yeah.
Come on. That's the best Friday the 13th.
I know. But...
Jason X, man.
Thankfully, they came out and they said, like, look, we can't work on this anymore because of this lawsuit. Like, we can't write one line of code, we can't animate one character. All of it has to stop because of this lawsuit. The only thing we can do is support the maintenance of the game. They said, we're still working on dedicated servers, and we're still working on bug fixes, stuff like that. But beyond that, they're saying that once that stuff is done, Friday the 13th, the game is done. Because they, as a studio, just can't sit around waiting for this lawsuit to clear up. They have to go work on something else and make money.
Yeah, they have to figure out some way to get money while all this legalese stuff is going on.
Yeah.
And you can't blame them. They've got to stay afloat as a company. They have to do everything they can to do so. And this, through no fault of their own, this is the situation they are left in.
Yep. And it's such a shame, too, because that was a good game.
Yeah.
And they seem like they're a good developer. They had some stumbles, in the first couple of weeks, but, very quickly smoothed some of that stuff out and just kept supporting a good game with a lot of good content.
Yeah.
And that's just a super bummer. I don't... It's another one of those lawsuits where it's like, this seems awfully greedy. I don't know the full details, but this doesn't seem that great. So...
I don't know.
But better news is our news story. Life is Strange 2's 5-episode story begins this September. Which is much sooner than I was expecting. I thought this was going to be like February 26, 2019. But I am so excited for this. I feel like what Don't Nod does really well with these episodic games is I feel like they do the cliffhangers really well. Like, they answer all the questions in the episode, and then they give you a little cliffhanger, and then they legitimately don't wait 6 months before another episode comes out. Like, I get hungry from each new... And when this comes out, I'm going to just buy the season pass or whatever they call it, because I'm looking forward to playing a new Life is Strange and that anticipation. Yeah. Because I know it's not going to be like another company where it would sort of be like, all right, episode 2 is done. I need to forget about this game until episode 3 shows up, because...
I have no idea what company you're talking about.
I didn't. Hopefully a company that is turning it all around, even though they're getting sued right now for some really dumb reason. But yeah, Life is Strange 2, September. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, me too.
Speaking of lawsuits, God, this one's really weird. Bethesda is suing the developers behind the Westworld... I don't know what it's called. Basically, there's a Westworld game that's out that is basically a copy of Fallout Shelter.
Shocker.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. They're not suing them for that. They're suing them for alleged code theft. Because this is the original developer behind Fallout Shelter before it got launched, 3 years ago.
Yep.
They did some of the original work, and then they contracted with whoever it is, HBO or whatever, to make the Westworld mobile game. Let's be honest, they're the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But how Bethesda found out about this code theft?
Please tell me it hit one of their servers for verification or something.
No, it's way worse. Alleged code theft. There's a bug present in Westworld that was only present in the exact same way in Fallout Shelter before it got launched. And it's very much like, it's one of these bugs where it's like, you open up the game, and if you've played it before, like, the camera is down over in one corner, all the way in a corner, but it's blurry and the whole thing looks wrong. If you close it and open it back up, it fixes it. And that exact bug, reproducible like that, is in the Westworld game. So Bethesda's like, guys, it certainly looks like you took that code you wrote for us, you saved it, and then you reused it for the exact same game. And that's not okay.
It's even worse because it's not even like... I mean, in general, you'd think that a company the size of Bethesda would probably be like, yeah, okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. You're only a small company, it's only a small game, whatever. But the problem is if they don't go after this as hard as they possibly can, the next time someone does it, they can't go after them. So they legally have to chase this down and make sure that they are doing everything in their power.
Well, and I've worked in the software space, for a while, and almost all of these contracts are, you write the code for us, you give us the code, and you get rid of it. You're not writing the code for you, you're writing it for us, and that's our stuff. So it's not only, you can't really sue them for making a game that looks exactly the same. Like, there are probably 50 of those on, the Apple App Store since Fallout Shelter became big. What you certainly can't sue them for is, you took our code. Like that.
Yep.
You can't. That's a breach of contract. You can't do that, dude. So, this has been an entertaining story for two reasons. One is I'm really curious to see where this turns out, because I don't think that's going to set a huge precedent, especially if it's a breach of contract. The other one is I've been really tickled by the number of people that have not read any of an article dealing with this and like, oh, of course they seal them because this game looks like Fallout Shelter, and of course you don't want another game that looks like Fallout Shelter. It's like you can't sue someone for that. You can sue them for literally taking all the assets out of Fallout Shelter and making something called Bomb Drop Shelter, and it's the same thing. You can't you can't sue them for, oh, this Westworld game is the exact plan of Fallout Shelter. So
yeah, otherwise EA would be all over Strikeforce.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and somebody would probably be on EA too. Hey,
true.
Next news story. This one is surprising. Microsoft drops their VR and mixed reality plans for Xbox One.
This is interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about the VR, because the writing's been on the wall for that for a little while. I'm surprised about the MR stuff, though, because that seemed like that was the niche they were going to carve.
I think my big thing for this is I think they'll wait until it's in a point where it's mass marketable.
Yeah. I think what lends credence to that is, I have a quote here from Microsoft Chief Marketing Officer Mike Nichols. He says, quote, "As an open platform, PC just allows faster, more rapid iteration. There are plenty of companies investing in it on the hardware side, in the content side, or some combination therein. Obviously on phones, augmented reality is a good scenario as well. That's going to grow. But as it relates to Xbox, no. Our focus is primarily on experiences you would play on your TV, and ultimately we'd like to make those experiences more broadly."
Yeah.
So I think
it wouldn't surprise me if they loop back around at some point.
Sure.
I don't think it's going to be this gen.
No.
Might be next.
I think maybe
be the one after.
You know, there's always waiting in the wings, HoloLens. You know, I've seen some whispers about that potentially coming back again. You know, the next Xbox could support that, but I think when you look at how fast, and people might be looking at it that slow, but it's moving pretty quickly on PC, how fast the evolution of VR is. You know, like, we're now starting to look into potentially Gen 3 of VR, which is standalone headset, which is a lot more attractive and, as you said, mass marketable for people. Why would Microsoft want to get into this situation that Sony is with PSVR, where you have an aging piece of hardware that's hundreds of dollars that pretty soon is not going to be...
Not a whole lot of support for?
Yeah,
like no one's... for it now?
Yeah.
Alone in 5 years.
Because why would you support PSVR when you support Oculus? Mm-hmm. Like, I think this is a smart, non-surprising, semi-disappointing, especially for the MR stuff, but really not too surprising of a move for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Good for them to come out straight and say, like, you know, we're not going to do it. It's just not a thing we're going to do. It's not in our best interest. And then at the end, they say, like, we're just trying to make more games. So we're going to keep pushing on that. Games. Speaking of Microsoft games coming out for Xbox One, Microsoft had some news to share about Crackdown 3.
Yes.
The original developers are no longer working on it.
Now, you read that headline and it's oh no, Crackdown 3 is doomed, but if you read more into the actual issue, the original developers were also the people who were responsible for the cloud tech.
Yes, CloudGen.
Yep.
Yes,
they were the people responsible for that, which that's what makes me think this isn't a big loss at the end of the day.
No, Microsoft said they're still working with Sumo Studios. What is that?
Sumo Digital, I think.
Yeah, Sumo Digital. Yeah, they're still working with them, who's apparently been the primary developer on Crackdown 3 for basically the whole time.
That's fine by me. I like Sumo's work.
Yeah, Sumo's been doing great. This is really interesting because the original developer was Reagent Games. The creator of the franchise was Dave Jones. Apparently, Dave Jones left Reagent Games at the beginning of this year to join Epic Games as their director of cloud strategy after CloudGen had been acquired. And then basically Reagent Games' website is broken and their Twitter account is dead. So it sort of seems like after that, Microsoft sort of said, like, well, you're not a studio anymore, so kick rocks. Like, there's nothing here for you to do. You know, like, it's when someone just sort of gets written off the scheduling sheet at work, where it's like, oh, that's weird, you only have 1 hour next week. Oh, I couldn't fit you in the schedule. I guess you shouldn't come back. You know, like...
Well, they've been bought by a competitor.
Yep.
Why would they continue to work with them? And at that point, from what I understand of legal terms, if you are bought by a different company, then your contracts have the complete option to be null and void at that point if both parties agree to it.
Yeah.
Or even if one party agrees to it, it's null and void because you're not the same entity that we dealt with originally.
Yeah.
So...
And who knows?
What does it matter?
Like, Reagent might have been some of the problems during the early development and sort of middle development of Crackdown 3, where we were seeing all these delays and we're seeing all this non-activity out of the game. And maybe Sumo came in and just sort of started kicking butt day one, and Microsoft was like, well, let's hire them. Like, let's just make Sumo finish it.
Yep.
And that's great for Sumo because they get to work on another big title.
Yep. Also worth mentioning, Sumo apparently developed Forza Horizon 3.
Yeah, that's right. They did work on that. Yeah, they were one of the other companies. They also worked on the two Sonic racing games, which are both really good.
Yep.
They've done a lot of really great stuff. I think they started getting big during the 360 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also didn't know that's Infogrames. It's like it's Gremlin and Infogrames were the two studios that dropped to make Sumo.
Oh, wow, really?
That's really cool.
Interesting.
That's like a long legacy.
Yeah. God, Infogrames have been around for 30 years?
Yep.
Yeah.
I did not know Sumo were that historic.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense for Forza then.
Yes.
Next news story, GameStop in talks with private equity firms over possible buyout.
Because... GameStop, don't charge $59 for used games, there's your problem.
Well, there's some other weird stuff going on here too, because it seems like they have some sort of weird financial woes, and then remember when their CEO quit after just 3 months on the job, suddenly like, hey man, I'm leaving, see you later, gotta go, personal stuff, which it very much could have been, but that, I think, for investors and for the financial health of the company, that was probably a pretty big red flag.
Yep.
So, I was talking about this in Discord. If this was, God, even 10 years ago, I bet we would have seen a bidding war between, like, Target, Best Buy, and Amazon for someone to scoop up GameStop and ThinkGeek together.
Yeah, especially just for the ThinkGeek side of it alone.
Yeah. Nowadays, I'm not entirely... Best Buy is circling the drain. Target has its own market that doesn't really care. Amazon is making $1 hajillion a second. So they're in a feud with Sony right now. You can't even buy a PS4 on Amazon.
Really? And more bad beef between Amazon and a different company again?
Shockingly. Last time it was Nintendo. Now it's suddenly Sony for no reason. So Amazon doesn't really care. I'm not really... Jimbo Jangle says, do you have to put $5 down to pre-order a buyout? You probably get a special skin.
Yep.
I'm curious to see what company would potentially buy GameStop, because I feel like that's not an entirely healthy company right now.
I just thought of the perfect company to buy them, because they're already buying everything else, apparently.
Tencent? Yeah. Tencent is buying GameStop. You can buy all your iPhones and Tencent games at GameStop. I don't know.
How much would the political ramifications of that be, by the way?
Yeah, God.
That would be hilarious just to watch that aftershocks.
Yeah. This is going to be something I probably watch pretty closely as well, because I cannot think
Who's in the market for it? Nobody is in the market for a brick and mortar retail store
for one product. Like, all the geek stuff aside that they sort of inherited, and like they're selling phones and tablets. Like, their primary business still is used games. That has not been a super profitable market right now, and they have not been able to diversify themselves in the marketplace or diversify their products. I don't know who should buy that. Like, it's not a healthy purchase.
The only way that I think GameStop are ever going to turn this around is if they basically turn into a boutique video game store, turn into limited run games, but in physical locations.
Yeah, because they started publishing video games. So they did that Song of the Deep.
Yep.
Yeah, and I thought that was going to be their into publishing indie titles. Like you said, maybe they'd use their marketing clout and their physical clout to sell physical copies of these games that they're publishing. But I think that's the only one they published.
As far as I'm aware, it is.
Yeah.
Well,
another missed opportunity.
I just want them to turn all those stores into like Apple stores, where you just see like one copy of a game on a counter, on an island counter in the middle, and it's got a 600% markup.
Yeah. Just
because it's a physical edition that you can buy at a brick and mortar store.
That'd be great. It's like chained to the table.
Exactly.
Oh God. Yeah. We'll keep reporting on that, because that is interesting. I don't think in a morbid way. I've seen a lot of people not jokingly being morbid about this. I don't want thousands of people to lose their jobs. You know, if GameStop goes belly up.
If it goes under, then that's a problem for everyone who works there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's kind of on the CEOs and the owners and everything else to remove head from buttocks,
right,
and actually pay attention to what's going on in the global marketplace. Digital is dominating everything right now.
Yeah. The only thing I hope for is that the company, they don't get purchased by the company that purchased and drove Toys R Us into the ground.
Oh. You mean one of those whole, I'm going to take over this failing company so I can offshoot all of my current debts onto this company,
and then sink it
to them,
and
then lose all those debts.
Yeah, and you lose your debt and you make billions of dollars on top of it, and then 10 to 15,000 people are out of jobs. No big deal. You know, they also just did that with Gibson, by the way, if anyone was interested in stopping them. That's a really interesting, let's call it a scam, if anyone is really interested in reading the history of that stuff.
It's like the richest, whitest guy scam that ever existed.
Yep. It is fascinatingly shady. Next news story, we only have two left here. Remember the Nintendo Switch hardware exploit from a couple of months ago, where it's like, this is unpatchable, Nintendo will never catch us.
Yeah, because they've released new chips, so therefore it's fixed.
Well, they went a different way.
Arrested everybody?
No. They, if Nintendo has found that you have a console that has been exploited like that, and you have pirated games on your Switch, they just ban that console. And it doesn't function.
So they brick it?
Essentially, yeah. By just saying, like, yo, we're going to lock this whole console down, so maybe don't steal games on our platform.
In that case, specifically, as long as they hold to the if we detect pirated games on it,
right,
that's fine. If it's a case of, no, you have homebrew stuff on this, you have broken this encryption, that's when I'd have an issue with it. But as long as it's a case of the pirated games method, that's fine.
Yeah, it so far it seems like they're sticking to just pirated full games and not really homebrew. It doesn't seem like there's a super big homebrew scene on the Switch right now anyway, so
yeah, that'll happen eventually.
Yeah. And I hope they don't valve it up where it's sort of like, oh, we're sending out a big ban of people that are have exploited some stuff, and then little Jimmy borrows a cart from his friend, and suddenly Microsoft's like, oh, sorry, you were accidentally banned. You have to send your console in, and then whoops, that one was broke. We'll just send you back a new one. So, all right. Last but not least, I don't even know how to talk about this. So we're going to try and tackle it, but the details on this are so stupid and fuzzy that I'm not entirely sure where this is all going to go. But the World Health Organization is adding gaming disorder, quote unquote, to its globally recognized compendium of medical conditions and diagnoses, the agency announced this past Monday.
Good. Number one, why didn't this happen in 1996?
Well,
keep going.
You and I will be on opposing sides on this then. I am of the opinion that, one, gaming addiction is real,
yes,
and two, it is very harmful.
Yes. So far, all agreed.
This does not address that.
Okay. On second thoughts, maybe let's not praise them after all.
So that's my problem. I think when you talk about gaming addiction versus this gaming disorder, and gaming addiction is something that absolutely needs to have more research around how to treat and how to diagnose and how to help these people that are whose lives are suffering because of their addiction to this thing.
Google anything involving StarCraft in the Korea region, folks.
100%.
If you want some good examples of exactly what we're talking about here, I'm not going to say it out loud because youngsters might be listening, and it's a very disturbing stories.
There's a like you said, there's a very long history of, especially in South Korea, of gaming addiction. Worst case, taking lives. Quote unquote, better case, just destroying somebody's life. So I 100% agree that stuff should be researched and diagnosed and help these people to beat this addiction. The WHO didn't really clarify enough of that stuff in their diagnosis. So basically, experts in the field, psychologists and people of those natures that research and help define and come up with addiction help plans for this stuff have said there's no research behind this. Any of the research that may have been done has not been shared with the scientific community.
Mm-hmm. Because it's probably a press release or a bloody promotion that someone's been trying to do at the time.
Right, or it doesn't exist, worst case.
Yeah.
And this one guy that Polygon interviewed, I thought was really interesting that he said that this doesn't address the problem. They're listing it under disorders due to addictive behaviors. And I thought what this guy focused on was it's not, for so many people, addiction to gaming isn't I play it 40 hours a week.
No.
Under this definition, that would be a problem, and that would be the disorder, where it's if you tip over like X number of hours per week, then you are automatically addicted to video games.
Okay, so I'm addicted. I have been since I was 8 or 9.
Yeah,
keep going.
Ditto. What I thought this other guy said is, instead of saying, let's say you're a streamer and you play games for your job, that doesn't necessarily mean you're addicted. But what he's suggesting that we research and address is the addictive nature of certain video games, and he calls out loot boxes by name.
Yep.
That's the stuff he wants to see. That, sure, somebody could become addicted to a game that doesn't have, let's say, exploitative gambling practices in them. I'll just call it what it is.
Yep.
But that's not going to be as much of a pull as a battle pass or loot boxes or some sort of more dangerous chase like that.
Yeah.
I would agree with him that I think that's the avenue you go, not just like Moon, you and I play a lot of games every week. I in the free time that I have, I'm playing something on my phone, or like I'm firing up Fallout Shelter for a couple minutes to manage my shelter and then close it, or like I'm playing Diablo 3 in between reading a book to my kid because like she's gonna wander off for 5 minutes. I can just do a half of a dungeon and then pause it and read another book. Like, I feel like under this definition, that would be addiction to games, as opposed to I'm playing so much Fallout 3, I forgot to feed my kid or change her diaper today. Like that.
Yep.
That's where, when your family and your life and your career fall aside, that's where the addiction really falls in.
I mean, the problem we're going to run into here is the closeness of the terminology, because we've got the nature of the gaming addiction, and I'm not using gaming to mean video games here. I'm talking gaming to mean gambling.
Yes.
Casinos, cards, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Their loot boxes, that kind of stuff, that is introduction of the gaming equivalent into gaming. My apologies for the phrase. There's going to be so much
like
gaming
your traditional, let's say, like Vegas gaming into video games.
Yes, you're gambling into video games to differentiate the two. So then you've got the problem of there's that side of addiction, which is I suffer from it. Like 100%. I have a very addictive personality.
Mm-hmm.
If I go down that rabbit hole, I am afraid of where it might take me, so I don't ever step down that rabbit hole.
You just play Elite Dangerous instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Elite Dangerous, I pay $15, I get 1,000 Frontier points, I know exactly what I'm paying for.
Right.
It's not a box, it's not a gamble.
But get the green trails. I got the yellow trails.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Damn, I clicked on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But it's the introduction of gambling into gaming. There's that side of the addiction, which is introducing the whole gambling addiction to a audience which should not be anywhere near that until they are 18, 21, whatever your legal age is.
Right.
But then you've got the other side of it, which is the video gaming addiction, which is you can't, like you said, you cannot look at time spent playing video games as a form of addiction or not.
Right.
Because at the end of the day is, I played sports when I was a kid. I stopped playing sports when I really messed myself up. Very badly playing sports with my friends.
Right.
And now certain types of physical activities get to me if I do them for too long. So I do what I can. I have my physical activities. I have my woodwork and stuff that I've got downstairs in the basement. But at the end of the day is I don't watch TV. I don't watch movies. I don't sit there and listen to the radio. My entertainment is video games.
Right. And find podcasts like this one.
And find podcasts like this one.
Yeah.
And the 70 others I have in my current podcast feeder. But you cannot define me as addicted to gaming, because I could just as easily turn around and say to any one of these schlubs who watches 60 hours of TV a week, you're addicted to television.
And like the two groups still go to work, still hold a family, still take care of their life. So
am I showered today? Yes, I am.
Right.
Am I fed today? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Have the cats been fed today? Yes, they have.
Right.
Have the people in my local area who need that to not play video games to take care of them, is that all done? Yes, it is. Therefore, I do not have an addiction to gaming.
Yeah.
Or to video gaming.
Right.
Are there things I put off so I can play video games? Yes. Everybody does that with everything every single day.
Yep. When you need some escapism, people are going to chase it however they will. Some people watch The Office on Netflix for the 50th time, and that's how they unwind, and that's fine too.
Exactly. It's they're running into these fine lines these days where they're gonna have to be real specific about this kind of thing, because then otherwise everything becomes an addiction, everything becomes a problem, and before you know it, we're taking our tablets so that we can all have no emotions, just like in Equilibrium.
Well, and I think the problem is when you misdiagnose stuff like this, the people that genuinely do need help don't get it.
Yep.
Because they potentially don't fit into this diagnosis. And I think there's two things that are really concerning here for me. One is I'm seeing some scuttlebutt behind the scenes that potentially South Korea was really pushing for this to get in the WHO so that they can address it.
Kind of understandable.
Yeah, like that's something that initially sounds like, come on, man, but that makes a lot of sense. I think the other thing that really concerns me is we were talking earlier during the Sony stuff about the massive popularity of Fortnite.
Yep.
I think this diagnosis is potentially a dangerous weapon for adults to wield against kids playing Fortnite in school, because that is a huge problem right now that I think needs to be addressed. But if I was a kid in high school right now, I'd be playing Fortnite too, because I was bored as hell in school. So you have your phone all the time, and you can play full Fortnite on your friggin' phone. Like, yeah, I'm going to be playing Fortnite. And it's free. But I don't think that those people are addicted. They are just bored in school and trying to entertain themselves. And I feel like this could potentially be a dangerous weapon for people to wield against them, saying, oh, well, you're addicted to this thing. Of course, because you're just playing it all the time, so we need to do something about it. And I'm worried about what that something could be.
My biggest worry on that front is what politicians are going to do with this.
Yeah.
Because politicians have got a nasty habit of the next time something really bad happens, it was the video games. Look, it's even in the dictionary now.
Think of the children.
Almighty
Tooth in chat says, my father once told me he was considering committing me because every night after I got off work, I would play video games with Moon and the rest of the TVGP community. I had a TVGP addiction. That one's okay. I mean, that's...
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Patreon.com/E1M1.
Consult your doctor.
Yeah. I this is something that I am happy to see that, number one, the video gaming community, especially like the ESA and larger influential groups like that, are pushing back on it. And then a lot of the medical community is pushing back on it too, because I feel like that two-pronged attack could potentially actually make a difference on this.
As is, it's too broad. It needs a lot more refinement.
Yeah, like you got to do what a lot of the scientific community seems to be saying is you have to research this stuff. We have to find root causes. Once we identify those root causes, map them out, and then from that, other medical communities can then figure out, taking those root causes, how do we treat these people and get them back to what we can consider a baseline of non-addiction. Because as of right now, I don't think we have one. And that's troublesome and potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
So
it's the problem with stuff like this is it's going to go one of two ways. It's going to... The two forces are going to work together, they're going to nail it down, and it's going to be great. And the other way it goes is this immediately becomes a weapon.
Yep. And that's what I'm really concerned about.
Yeah, because if this type of stuff in today's politics, in today's society, stuff becomes a weapon without even blinking or thinking.
Yeah.
It's a weapon immediately.
Yeah.
And that can be problematic.
Yes.
And to then see something like this used as a weapon, and yet my biggest fear with that kind of thing is, well, why aren't you pointing at the people who sit there and watch TV ungodly amounts of hours?
Yeah.
Why are you not down at the hot yoga people telling, the sweaty yoga people telling them to chill out because they're doing sweaty yoga 40 hours a week?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna keep following this as it progresses, and I hope it progresses in a positive way.
Yeah.
But enough of a sort of more serious news story. Let's talk about happier stuff with emails.
Yes.
Robert C. sends us an email and says, "Hi, Boston and Moonpair. Hello there.
Bonjour.
With the announcement of Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red spoke about the fact that nudity will be an integral part of the game's storytelling. Do you think it's weird that a game developer has to make this kind of announcement about adult content in a video game when we regularly have movies coming out that show full frontal nudity and sex scenes? Why are video games still looked at so differently, especially when we're approaching the cinematic look and feel for games?"
Really quick.
Yep.
And this is the English side of me talking. The reason they've had to come out front with that straight away right now, before anything's been seen about it, it's America. 100% America.
Did you hear about people's impressions from the closed doors demo?
I've heard nothing but positive things, but I've not done deep dives in any of that stuff.
So this stems from a funny part in the demo where they bring up, they're like at the title screen and they say, okay, we're going to start a new game, we're going to show off the character creator. And then, like, the character pops up on screen, and there's a huge mosaic over their private bits, sort of male or female. And they said, a lot of people are talking about that because they thought it was a really funny moment instead of just having it all hang out, there's this like very entertaining mosaic over it. And CD Projekt Red then came out and said, we could have shown the uncensored one, which will be in the game, at the demo, but we didn't want people. We wanted people to laugh at the silliness of it, not be uncomfortable at the nudity of it.
Yeah.
But don't worry, that's going to be in the game.
Which, I hate to say this, but it goes back to my original point. America?
Yeah, I think that's a part to play in it, but I think it's also... I think there's also this weird contingent of people that are like, you're not censoring that, right? Like, you didn't censor all this stuff in The Witcher 3, and it's like... At some point, they just roll their eyes and they're like, no, just... We're like 15 years away from launching Cyberpunk. Like, just settle down. Like,
yes.
Sure, nudity will be in the game. And then I feel like it's one of those weird, like, little news snippets that gets blown up everywhere. Where it's like, CD Projekt Red says there'll be nudity in the game. It's like, yeah, I mean, there was in all of the Witcher games. Like, it's not a big deal.
It's not, but... I do apologize. I'm going to keep coming back to this point because the Witcher 2, 1 and 2 specifically, and to the 3 to a certain extent, they started off... I mean, CD Projekt Red is Eastern Bloc as Eastern Bloc can be.
Yes.
And there is a very different perspective when it comes to nudity over there to over here.
Let's say just everywhere else except for America.
Yes.
I feel like that's fair.
And you look at The Witcher 2, Witcher 1, 2, and 3. They got their big push over here through community talk, through communication, through word of mouth, through you playing it, talking to us, you know, someone else playing it, Vinny playing it and telling everybody how great Witcher 2 was.
Especially Witcher 1, where they came out of nowhere and everyone's like, hey man, this is really good.
And they pushed Witcher 3 a lot, but at that point it was a case of if you see the ads for Witcher 3, you already know who it's by, you already know if you're in or if you're not.
Yeah.
This is a brand new IP with no history according to mass populace.
Right.
There is nothing that came before this game. You can say CD Projekt Red and most people are like, I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And you say The Witcher and like, oh, I didn't play that. I'm interested in this one. You get that out there ahead of time because you started talking about this game, and then when it comes out over here, people have had 2 years, 3 years, 5 years to brace themselves for the fact that there's going to be nudity in this
There's going to be a pair of boobs in there somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rather than it coming out and then I'm not going to define any specific groups of people, but the people who are hard against any form of nudity in their media.
Right.
Having a big backlash against this.
Looking at the character creator.
Yes, yeah. You stop them straight away by saying, we told you about this in 2018, it's 2022, right. Chill out, people.
Yeah. Xbox Chivoho in YouTube chat says, I don't mind if it's passive, not in-your-face sexualized nudity. Yeah, I feel like that's maybe the message that's sort of getting lost here is when excusing The Witcher 1, I feel like Witcher 2 and 3, a lot of the stuff they've put in there is sort of like, hey man, it's a sex scene and there's boobs. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. It hasn't been in your face, and I have a lot of... It hasn't
been AO rated.
Yeah, like I have a lot of faith in CDPR to keep it fair, but also tell an interesting story about body modifications that may occasionally have androids or people without clothes on, and that's okay.
Yep.
So
I mean,
it's an M-rated game, guaranteed. So
yes, that's the biggest thing: is how can you tell a story in a world where everybody's getting body modifications without any nudity?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, have a good bit of Catholic shame about you any day of the week. I am ashamed of my body when I'm naked. That's absolutely
this pale
fine.
husk I inhabit.
I've got no problem with that.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't care if it's in a movie. I don't care if it's in a TV show, if it's an anime, whatever. If it's there, it's there. That's fine. That was their choice.
Yeah.
If I don't want to look at it, I can close my eyes.
Right.
I'll skip the cutscene.
Hold a Bible in front of you. Martin S. writes an email for you, Moonpier. He says, okay. Hey, my Xbox One hard drive is 99.4% full. I've already deleted more than half of my games. I want to have a library of games like Moon. That seems like a double-edged sword, maybe. Yes. So my question is, what's a good external hard drive?
I honestly don't know the ones we have.
Like Western Digital or Seagate, maybe?
I think my wife and I both have WDs, and they're 4 terabyte drives, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm still at like 88% full. Save me.
That's so much.
I will have to actually go and actually pick up the actual hard drive and look at it, because I honestly don't know what model it is. But I'll have to send out a tweet to the...
It's probably Western Digital MyBook, I bet.
It probably is. Yeah. It is an externally powered one.
Yeah.
I think... Wait, is it? Or is it? I can't remember.
Well, I think the Xbox One can support USB 3.0 drives, right?
It does, yes. The ones we have are 3.0.
Here'd be my recommend... Moonbear's wife, Xbox Shivaho, in chat says, I secretly delete games and he never notices.
Oh, I do. I see when my number goes down. I just don't keep track of
them.
Wait,
I have 235 right now? Wait a minute. What I would recommend is, I actually just bought one. I bought a Western Digital MyBook 6 terabyte. It was on sale. I think it was like $140, which is almost no money for 6 terabytes. Pick up one of those guys, slap it in your Xbox One, and you'll have an incredible amount of space. I really like
good luck with WDs.
Yeah, I am also a big proponent of the Western Digital in general. I like their MyBook external drives, and they are cheap. They will last forever, and if they don't, they have a pretty good warranty. So,
yep.
And they're externally powered, which I feel like helps a little bit.
To be honest, the best thing about this generation as well, specifically Microsoft side, is everything is saved in the cloud.
Yeah.
Like, every time you save the game, as long as you connect to the internet, it just uploads that save immediately and you're fine.
Well, and they have a really good migration utility on the Xbox One for, all right, I want to select a bunch of games over here and just move them externally without having to like delete and re-download and blow out your data cap and any of that. So, yeah, Western Digital MyBook, pick up whatever size you think they need. They're usually on pretty deep discount on Amazon. If not, just watch Amazon for a couple weeks. They'll be on sale at some point.
Watch anywhere. They're always going on sale.
Yeah. Jimbo Jangles sends an email, says, great E3 episode last week. Thank you. I have 2 questions for the crew this week. What was your E3 game of show? Seems like a majority of people had Cyberpunk as theirs based on what they saw behind closed doors. And then has another question here in a minute.
I mean, Cyberpunk had probably my favorite trailer. I haven't seen anything else other than that trailer.
Yeah, me neither.
So, like, Cyberpunk immediately, like, I think that had a great reveal, great methodology of revealing a trailer. Let me just do a quick flip back here through my pages.
One of my top ones is actually Forza Horizon 4.
That reveal was actually incredible. And the trailer.
Yeah, I think them coming out with a good trailer, them sort of talking about we're putting all 4 seasons in, and then having a really great trailer about focusing more on basically let's turn out the Burnout Paradise Party system and let's just slap that in Forza Horizon. They have taken a franchise I love and managed to make it even better.
Yeah, I think if we're talking real games, shall we say, that's probably my game of show, because I saw an extended trailer and everything I saw about it I liked.
Yeah.
If we're talking most hyped ever, I need to not see anything to do with this game ever again, it's Starfield. Because it was a 30-second less than that CG trailer that showed no gameplay, but it's nothing, but I don't care. I'm in.
Bethesda space.
Maybe Anthem is probably a close second for me.
Yeah, Anthem I'm really excited about. Anthem I'm really interested in. I feel like this was the first real footage I've seen, and a lot of it was sort of like, okay, yeah, like it's a different direction for a Bethesda game, but I would like to see more. And there were a lot of games at the show that I'm maybe not excited for because like Gears 5. I'm going to buy that, I'm going to play it. Go. Like,
Just Cause 4, Tomb Raider, the third one.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3, like, I know all these. Almighty Tooth says Hitman 2. Like, a lot of these games are just, they're givens. Like, Hitman 2? Yeah, I'll play that. Kingdom Hearts 3? Oh, of course I'm going to play that. You know, like, Gears 5 on Game Pass? Yeah, come on in. You know, like, that's all stuff I know I'm already going to play.
Yeah.
And Forza Horizon 4 was already in that. Like, oh, you announce a new Forza Horizon and not Forza? Yeah, I'll play that. But you compound it with all this great stuff, then... Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And he says, how long do you think it will be before the public gets to see that top secret footage? Thanks, guys, and have a great show.
Gamescom.
I'm surprised they haven't put it out already, because there's already such a groundswell of positivity about Cyberpunk that unless they put it out already and I somehow missed it, I'm surprised they haven't. Unless it's like a little bit rough.
Yeah, my guess is it's probably a little bit rough, and majority of the time when you see the behind closed door things, it's because it's with people like Gerstmann, like Caravella, like Geese, like all these people who've been doing this for years and understand rough does not mean bad.
They understand that like 3 times they load up the demo, the player falls through the world, and the 4th time it works. So all right, that's the demo. You know, like
exactly.
Yeah,
I think Gamescom, because it's always so close to E3 anyway. That buzz usually carries all the way over to Gamescom. So
and that's a little bit more on home base too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mental Case in Discord says, what would you consider your greatest gaming achievement? Mine would be the Platinum Trophy for The Witness, which took me 2 weeks of off and on playing to get through the final challenge. That's the last trophy I have in The Witness, and I will never be able to do it now unless I start the game over, and I'm sort of sad, because that would probably be mine. I still
1001% when I get it eventually.
Yeah, like 1001% and Isaac. And then, you know, for us, eventually 1,001% that will always feel good. I still have to say, beating Yasmat in Final Fantasy XII is still really... That fight took me 3 days to finish. Like, it lets you save in the middle of a boss fight. Like, that's
pretty impressive.
That was great. He has something like 48 million hit points, and you're doing like 10,000 a swing. Like,
of course.
It's forever.
Just Cause 1. I got full 1,000 gamer score on Just Cause 1.
Wow.
Just Cause 1. And
that's a lot of game.
That's a lot of game.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna get really stupid about it, my proudest 1,000 gamer score, my proudest achievement is the do 100 challenges in NBA Live 15's stupid Ultimate Team mode.
Yeah.
That's like a 0.002% achievement. That's like 100 gamer score, and nobody has it, and I still get messages on TA to this day asking people to help.
Wow.
Or people asking me to help because I have that achievement.
Speaking of,
and it's so rare.
I was gonna log into my true trophies here to see what my rarest trophy is. A lot of them are platinums that are pretty rare, but I feel like that sort of doesn't count for some of these. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I confirm. That's fine.
I think the big thing for me is, like, I've got a lot of... Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of easy achievements on my gamer card. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I also have gone above and beyond to play things that are ridiculously difficult. OG Dark Souls, I got 1,000 gamer score in, including the Nightmare Blighttown.
Ugh.
I've got 1,000 gamer score on Dead Space 1. I've got 1,000 gamer score on Dead Space 2.
Yeah.
Including the complete the game on the hardest difficulty and only save 3 times. Like, I've done some stupid stuff in my time, and...
Back when you had free time.
Yes. Back when I had free time.
Oh, you know what?
But
I'm actually gonna... This is actually a recent one, but I'm really proud of this. I did everything in Horizon Zero Dawn, including, like, the hardest mode and 100%ing all the DLC and stuff. And I feel really proud of that. That's one of those where it's like, yeah, you know, I worked really hard and I played a really hard game, and that felt really rewarding.
Yeah. I mean, talking about stupid achievements, for 436 days straight, I got at least 1 achievement a day.
Wow.
How stupid is that?
That's crazy. Actually, look at my trophies here. I am actually very proud of finishing This Is the Police.
Yeah, that's really... That's also super enjoyable at the same time. Like, that's one of those ones, like, yeah, I did it and it was worth it.
I feel like that's a real achievement where it's like, I managed to live all the way until the end. I didn't get a super great ending, but I feel like that's the point.
I don't think
you can get a good ending.
No.
Yeah.
Not in that game, not at all.
Yeah.
I know, I like pushing myself. Just Cause 3, I got a full gamer score on, you know. the remake of SSX, which was both A, an incredible game,
Yeah.
and B, really fun to play. I got a full game score on that. It's like, I'm proud of that, because I supported that game when it needed support. Nobody else did, or not enough people did.
Yeah. I feel like, Moon, you and I are very similar, where sometimes we will get a game or find a game, and we look at the mountain in front of us, and we go, yeah, I'm going to take that on. Like, I'm going to get 1,000 points, I'm going to get the platinum. Sometimes because it is difficult, and because it feels like that will be rewarding. Mm-hmm. And sometimes just because the mountain is there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at a 100%. Game and say, this one, I think I'll get 1,000 points.
Yeah. That was me with NBA Live 15 at 100%. It was like, this is a colossal mountain. This is Everest.
Yeah.
I will get there eventually. It took me like 5 years to get there, but I got there.
But you and 4 other people have done it.
Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah.
Why did I 100% that
That's
game?
A grind.
Literally 100% that game.
Yep.
And it took me the better part of like 3 years to do that.
Yeah.
Still did it. Still a great game.
Yeah. And our last question here from on Discord is from Death2K. Do you think Sony held back announcements so they have more impactful news at their Sony event in October/November, again taking away the importance of E3?
I don't think so, because I think if they had positive announcements, they would be making them now.
I think they'd make them at both.
I think they would. It wouldn't surprise me if they held something back for the Sony event.
Sure.
But if they had good spin that they could get out there right now, they would be putting it out there right now.
Yeah, I think they'd hammer it home both at E3 and at PSX. They would show, God knows, they've been showing Days Gone at both shows for the last 15 years.
And then it gets a pre-show this year.
And they don't even show it. Stupid. Oh, so disappointing. Yeah, I feel like they came out pretty early and said, like, hey, we're going to be showing 4 games at E3, and everyone's like, yeah, that's funny. Like, 14? 40? Like, did you miss a... And then, no, like, I can't see them coming to PSX and being like, we have 45 games. You know, like, that's...
No.
Not the show for it. And if they do, then that's just one Sony dumb decision on top of another dumb one.
Yeah, because PSX is good and it gets good buzz. Anybody who's there or who's involved in that is already a PlayStation owner.
Yeah. Or they're like part of the media. Like they know what you're there for.
If you want to push big, you push at E3 because that's where you get the mainstream culture coming in. Whether it's useless these days or not, the mainstream is still there.
Well, like we said last week, you're on the world stage there. You know, PSX, you're not. The nightly news isn't going to cover PSX.
Nope.
You know, so I would love to think that they're going to come to PSX and be like, we have 45 games here, and 25 of them are available right now. I don't think that's going to be the case.
No.
So, well, that was a bit of a downer to end the episode on.
Yep.
but I guess Cyberpunk 2077 still looks good.
Yes, it does.
That's our episode this week. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. All the links are on the right-hand side of the page, including the Discord server and all the ways you can contact us. Don't forget patreon.com/E1M1. Get all the great episodes early. T-Bomb-R, ODNF.
I'm so glad I got that right on the ODNF episode.
Yeah. And subscribe to us. YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, all the other places. You can catch us in your podcatcher of choice. We're still not on Spotify. Squinty eyes. And there's one... Oh, Game Club. Unravel. Playing Unravel right now.
Go play it.
Yeah, Moon says it's not super, super long, so...
No, it's like 4 to 8, depending on how slow you're going to be.
Yeah, so... You've got time for that. It's probably pretty cheap somewhere. And it's in the vault in EA Access, right?
Yeah, it is.
So go dive into the vault, Scrooge McDuck style. That's our episode this week. We'll see you all next week.
Bye. We are officially out of gas.
Yes, I am just... My knees hurt so bad, I'm just like ready to go put a one of those I have one of those like a sock tube with rice in it. You put in the microwave and you heat it up. Feels so good.
All right, just before we go into titles.
Oh, hi Louise.
She knows when I'm saying goodbye.
I'm hungry.
Yes, she is.
Start with titles with you. I have a grip of them here.
I got a couple. I missed a lot, I think, by not being able to write them down before I could remember them.
Yeah.
Frost Peak Mountain.
I got so close.
Here's the ball. It's a jar of eels. Or here's the ball. Or separated. It's a jar of eels.
Yeah.
Zip zap zip, comma all that.
Forgot I said
drop the
zip zap zip.
Yep. Drop the knowledge bomb. 4-piece puzzle of nightmares. Okay. Which I kind of like that one.
I have a better nightmare title, unfortunately.
Okay. Sony gonna Sony.
Yeah.
And fascinatingly shady.
Hold on, I'm gonna write that down. Fascinatingly shady. Alright, I have a nightmare that keeps being a nightmare. Demon Shocked, which I kind of like.
I forgot about that one.
Aren't in the yarn. We made a joke and then I think we said it wasn't in the cards. You said, don't you mean aren't in the yarn? My dream of buying an anaconda, which
it's so deceptive.
Probably one of the better non sequiturs, because that if you're just reading the title, that could go a lot of ways.
Yes, it could.
Medium huge, which I'm just tickled by.
You can't. That's good, but it's also really scared along the edges of a veto at the same time.
That's fair. Yeah, it's almost. It's like one of those. It's like a Pixar joke. Like kids might joke, but the parents are going to be like, yeah. Medium huge. I don't want to be here. I want to be in space. Which is,
if that wasn't so long, that would be great.
It's my personal vote. And then It's a Jar of Eels, Zip Zap Zip, and Fascinatingly Shady. I vote for I don't want to be here, I want to be in space.
That's fine by me.
It's so good. It's just like, I feel like we've all felt like that about some game where it's like, I don't want to be here, wherever here is, I want to be in space.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame you.
Mass Effect was a big one for that as well.
Yeah. It's just Mooncrash for me right now.
And she might get very annoyed with me, but I'm going to steal her name.
Okay.
You'll see.
Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 557 for June 25th, 2018. I don't want to be here. I want to be in space.
Helga awaits.
And someone asked earlier, I don't remember who it was, do we have any special plans for episode 600? Hey man, I don't know. I will worry about that in episode 599.
559.
And then go, oh, next week is 600 crap.
Yeah.
So, alright, thank you very much everyone for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And your wife says, hey, rude.
Yeah, because Helga's the name of her ship.
But now she's immortalized.
Exactly.
In the show. Alright, that's it. We can stop recording.